that have done recently that they hadn't done beforehand. They're signing players that can handle playing at Manchester United. I know I keep going on about it, but you know better than me. It's a heavy jersey and it's a big place to play.
Yeah.
Easy, listen, great place to play and an easy place to play when things are going well. Right, but that's a different, it's a different question when things aren't going well. And I look at the boys they've signed. Šeško to a lesser degree, but he's coming good.
Pleased for him.
So am I.
I thought there's another one that's not going to make it.
Yeah, I keep going on about his finish at West Ham, Alan. It was a genius finish. It really was. It was a brilliant finish where he clipped it round the corner, stuck it in the top corner. It was a brilliant finish. His finish at Everton, great pace, calmness in front of goal, sticks it by Pickford. But the other two for me have really settled in, Cunha and Mbeumo. They've really settled in. They look the part, and they look as though they're thriving, in that, arena at Old Trafford. They look as though they look as though, to me, as if they feel they belong there.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And you can't say that about maybe some of the previous ones, but, whether it was, Jadon Sancho or Højlund or Anthony, boys like that.
Yeah. So Forest, right, you mentioned they've got Fenerbahce, then it's down to Brighton.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 10:02, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. World Cup winner Juan Matas telling everyone in England to look at the bigger picture around tournament near misses. Spain got over the line after decades of underachievement.
We were never reaching semi-finals. We were always losing in the quarterfinals. It became actually like a mental thing for us. We went to the quarterfinals thinking, okay, we're going to go out now. And it happened to England in the last finals.
Matters told talkSPORT England are so close to another title. He's also revealed he'll come back to England to get into coaching when he retires from playing out in Australia. Now, ahead of the World Cup, Ivan Toney's told us he'll keep plugging away in Saudi, but Thomas Tuchel hasn't called him yet.
Like I said, I just have to be focused on myself, keep my head down and keep scoring goals, and I'm sure it will come into his way, and my goal scoring, and it'll give myself an opportunity,
Tony's got 23 in 21 games for Al Ahly this season, 2 more than Cristiano Ronaldo, who's got a new goal celebration. The Sue is out and the slam dunk is in. You can see that at talksport.com. At the T20 World Cup, West Indies' top order has been blown away by Rabada and Ngidi. South Africa have the West Indies 50. They are 52 for 4 now in their Super 8 match. And Constitution Hill's trainer Nicky Henderson's told us it's sad, but when you've made the right call.
Last night, finally we could sort of just say, okay, that's it, we've made the decision, and I'm pretty sure it's the right way to go. It had to be at the end of the day, yeah.
The brilliant Constitution Hill's been ruled out of next month's Cheltenham Champion Hurdle following a few falls.
talkSPORT News.
The number of asylum seekers in hotels has fallen, but is still more than 30,000, and assisted dying will not become law anytime soon. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With over 600 centres across the UK, most of which open 7 days a week, we're always there when you need us. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Wet and windy weather moving southeast across Scotland and Northern Ireland. This afternoon, that wet weather moves into the north and west of England and Wales. Southeast England, though, remaining dry and bright.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We're live on talkSPORT. So another European night beckons. Would a Conference League trophy be an opportunity to save face for Oliver Glasner? Meanwhile, 10 years of Gianni Infantino. Has it been a decade of success, reform, and revolution? Also today, a takeover collapse. So what now for Sheffield Wednesday? Are Millwall heading to the Premier League? Fabio Wardley yesterday. This morning, his opponent Daniel Dubois stops by. And 105 days out from the World Cup, USA goalkeeper Brad Friedel will join us live in studio. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
So you can take from that, it's a busy old show.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Lots of different voices.
Lots of different
Hopefully
voices.
Lots of different insights.
Yep.
And we'll come out being right, as always. A bit like the Brian Clough mantra, isn't it? We started with an argument, we had sat down and discussed it and realised that we were right in the first place.
Exactly that. Simon, a lot to get through this morning. Again, a number of people get in touch with me yesterday about how well Fabio Wardley spoke on the show. Yeah. And this morning, it's his opponent, Daniel Dubois, coming in with Don Charles. Are you happy they're back together again?
For Don, yeah. I think it's, I can't speak to the training camp, but I think Don deserved to be treated better. He kept his counsel, and when he came in to talk boxing, I said to him, keep your counsel, because who knows what's going to happen, because I'm sure he had plenty to say when they departed from him, but he didn't. And here he is back. He is the person that's probably, besides Daniel's father, got the most from Daniel in terms of taking him from disparaging judgments of him to significant victories against Baby Miller, against Hrgovic, winning the world title against Anthony Joshua. No one thought we could do that, and it was all about Anthony Joshua. To the first bit of adversity, which is the loss to Usyk. So now Don will really establish his worth in this situation, because we're looking for him to rebuild Daniel, because the loss to Fabio, I think, is more diminishing for Daniel than it would be if it was the other way around. I think Fabio goes into this fight with still a bit of currency in the background, that Dubois is the natural heavyweight in terms of he's got an established career, he hasn't come from a different background. So there will be a section of people, despite the momentum being with Fabio and him being the world champion, that think Daniel will win this fight. So I think if Daniel doesn't, I'm struggling to see where he goes. I'm sure Frank and others will be able to say, well, he goes in all different kinds of directions, and they won't even be contemplating losing the fight.
Sure.
But I think it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Someone's going to get knocked out.
So Daniel is in the building, and so too is Don Charles, and the two of them will be in studio very soon. The fellows who look after Wardley and Dubois will be joining us later. Expect a bit of fireworks at that as well, Simon.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that.
Some of that yesterday, yeah.
So, the Champions League. I mean, my God, England teams everywhere you look. Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Newcastle and Tottenham all in the draw, and who comes out against who tomorrow morning, all will be revealed when Sam is on with Alex Crook and Gabby Bonlahor. Almost inevitably, I felt, Vinicius Jr. scored the winning goal to see Madrid through. Benfica and Mourinho are out, Simon, in the Champions League. A tie over on the pitch, but not off it. Would you agree? That's going to rumble on.
Yeah, yes. I mean, until we understand the definitive outcome of understanding. Obviously, Vinicius Jr. will have had a difficult week if what he says is the case. If it's not what transpires, then the other fellow would have had a difficult week.
Yeah.
Mourinho didn't help the situation, but the outcome was what I thought it would be. Despite the fact that there was this wonderful moment in the knockout stages, in the group stages, where Benfica stole victory from the jaws of defeat. I always felt and said it that Madrid would come through this tie on the field. Yeah. And they duly did. And so they should look at the quality they've got on the bloody field.
No, true. Atalanta kept the Italian hopes alive after staging an incredible comeback against Borussia Dortmund. Enjoyed that. Enjoyed this. Juventus. Now, we had the Galatasaray coach on the other day after they beat them 5-2 in the first leg of their playoff match. We thought, and rightly so, this isn't over yet. And what do you know? Juventus came roaring back into it, 5-5, then 2 winning goals for Galatasaray in extra time. They win at 7-5 against 10-man Juventus, and through they go. So Galatasaray, and it could well be that Liverpool could get them. Liverpool could draw Atletico Madrid or Galatasaray, or Tottenham could get Galatasaray.
Have already beaten them, haven't they?
Yeah.
But as Danny described very well yesterday, there was a difference between playing in the group stages, despite the fact that there was limited games to get out of a group. There is the difference between the zeroing in of elite football clubs on knockout football, when it becomes really knockout football, and the big players and the big clubs and their ascendancy in the moment.
Yeah.
So I would suspect if Liverpool drew Galatasaray, with all due respect to Galatasaray, and not writing them off because Liverpool's side at this moment in time isn't great, you might see a different outcome than you saw in the last game.
Simon, I've got to say, the Europa League Forest host Fenerbahce tonight, 3-0 up from the first leg. Celtic, I would think, sorry to say it, Martin, as good as gone. 4-1 down when they head to Stuttgart. Both these games live on talkSPORT 2. But I would have thought you're wondering what the heck is going on at your old club, Simon. Crystal Palace host the Bosnians Zagrinski with the tie poised at 1-1 in, the Europa Conference League, and we know why they're in that. Considering the unravelling over recent months, Simon, does a Conference League trophy represent an opportunity to save face for Oliver Glasner?
To an extent. I mean, he really should have been carried out of Crystal Palace on a chair. And if he carries on, he'll be carried out on a gurney, because he's simply burning the relationship he has with the club for a variety of reasons. One of them is a legitimate reason, which is he doesn't think he's got the support he should have got. The other is because now he's not really that engaged. I think that he thinks other opportunities to sell past him, whether he thought he was going to get the Liverpool job if the slot was under threat, or whether he thought he was going to get the Man United job, and those issues may have passed him by. I think he's made it all about himself. And so, to answer your question, if he goes and wins the Conference League, it will reimagine in people's minds that he's a winner and that he's done wonderful things at Crystal Palace. It will not detract from the minds of people that look at him going, if he thinks he can set a ballroom on fire at Crystal Palace, and the scale of it at Crystal Palace is far different, what does he think he's going to do if he gets a Tottenham job, or if he gets a Man United job, or if he gets a big job that's got a ballroom, or one of these big clubs that, i.e., his talent should be able to take him towards, and B, might be eyeing him, will look at that and go, wonderful, you won the FA Cup, wonderful, you turn water into wine with Palace, but you're a bit of a pest, and when you don't get what you want, you go against the boardroom, and boardrooms will look at that, whether you like it or you don't, and go, well, why would we want him in the position? Because we know what he's going to do. Sure. As soon as he has a turn, he's going to set the place on fire.
So he's gone from somebody you rate to someone who's a potential problem.
No, he's a brilliant manager, but he's a temperamental one. And you've got to factor that into your thinking, and you've got to manage that into your club and understand that. I have very clear lines with him, and it's wondering, because ultimately it was established that he was temperamental because we'd seen him in previous incarnations.
But the brilliant ones are temperamental.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being temperamental as long as that temperamentality doesn't find its way into being irrational and disrespectful and setting a situation where you've pitched yourself against the hierarchy of the club. Yeah. You can be as temperamental as you want with the bleeding media, but don't be temperamental with the people that own the club.
So is all goodwill gone
in public? I add
goodwill. Has that gone between fans, manager, and ownership? Is that dissipated?
Well, of course it has. Because he's told the fans to be humble and remind themselves of where they came from. So you've got the fans singing back to him how humble they are. Yeah. You've got this rumours mill suggesting that the players are well offside with him now because they clearly think he isn't bothered. And so probably they've been in Steve Parish's ear. You've got somebody coming out and speaking about things in a way that makes no sense because you've got an agreement in October, you're leaving, just get on with it and leave on a high rather than leaving on a low. So all of those things have brought out an outcome. The team's form has nosedived. So all of those things are a perfect storm for people to turn on a sixpence and go, no, thank you, you're whatever.
Yeah.
Which is what the Palace fans... And it's a sad because he created something for Crystal Palace, which was a very good side.
Yeah.
He made players better, which is the indication of what a good coach is. And he won something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, during Sunday's win over Wolves, fans displayed a banner saying, opportunities missed, board inept, fans disrespected, Glasner finished. Is he finished? His future remains in the spotlight. Going into tonight's match, he was asked if defeat could see this one tonight in the Conference League second leg being his final one.
I don't know. What happens, I never know. But I know that we all give our best to win the game tomorrow, every single one. Who is involved, and that's what we can do. But on the other side, and again, I think it's just think about the Premier League, 3 points behind the 8th place. 8th place qualifies for Europe, how it looks like. So England will have 5 Champions League places again, looks like, next year. So why throw the Premier League away? So I just think it makes no sense. How you say, putting all your money on one competition.
I don't get it, Simon. Mixed messages, aren't they? On one hand, it could well be that this is his final game tonight if they were to go out of the Europa Conference League, and I do hope they don't. On the other hand, he's saying, well, we're sitting pretty in the Premier League at the moment. Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I mean, what on earth? If you're a fan, what?
Well, first and foremost, he's not in control of his own destiny because they never are managers because the owner will fire them if he wants to. So they're never in control of their destiny. The only thing that keeps them in control of their destiny is a clear vision of the way forward.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't a way forward. He's leaving. So he can't speak with any great sense of confidence or any great sense of purpose about what might be his last game.
Do you think he'll stay for the rest of the season?
Depends how engaged he is.
If they go out tonight and if you're Parish, do you shake on it tomorrow morning and say goodbye, Oliver?
I think, given the public proclamations, it's a balancing act between how much offside he is against histrionics in the media. The histrionics in the media might make the owners look a little impotent, but it's a problem you can live with because you're going to replace. He's going to go in the summer anyway. So what's the lesser of two evils?
Yeah.
A moment of perceived impotence where someone's being impudent in the media and making you look impotent as a result of not firing him, or having nobody to run the team and watching it tail off and lose 2.5 million or 3 million of space by not finishing 2 or 3 places up the league that you could have done.
Let's find out. Let's get some Palace fans on, even this early on the show this morning. We're just at 10:15. Let's hear from you. What a game tonight, but it's the implications thereafter that we're really interested in. If you go on in the Europa Conference League and Glasner stays, obviously you want to go all the way and win the damn thing. What happens if you go out? Would you be happy enough if he departs tomorrow? Is this a trophy that could end up saving face, or has all goodwill between you, the fans, the manager and the ownership, has that dissipated and is as good as gone? 03717223344. The former owner sitting right beside me. Give us a call.
Chelsea beat Barca, Liverpool roll over Madrid. But later in the tournament, that changes because the dynamic
changes,
the mentality changes of those elite clubs and elite players and ups their game. So then you see this kind of, these little details will win semi-finals and quarterfinals. When you play in those games, you realise it can be one little moment, even though you think the English team should win. You can't be that arrogant. Well, we can't be that arrogant to think we should just because we've got a strong league.
No, it's not a given. I mean, it's
not a
given.
given.
Lay out a claim that this is what is a reasonable opportunity for you to achieve shouldn't be conceived as English arrogance.
No.
But it's also the reasons why Newcastle are probably doing well in this tournament, because when it comes to cup competitions, albeit there's a league format in the Champions League, but it's a limited league format. So know you've got to go into these games. Teams are going in there with a champions mentality, most of them, albeit 90% of them aren't actually champions, but they're highfalutin sides from their own countries, going in there with a front foot mentality a lot of the time. Anthony Gordon referred to it earlier on in the season when he was asked about why you're doing so well in Europe. He was talking about the opposition come to win, whereas in the Premier League, certain sides come in to make it difficult for you to play against. So that's the reasons perhaps why Newcastle have found some success in defending the much vaunted Carabao Cup that the whole nation celebrated last year. And also the Champions League.
I think the other thing, just quickly as well, is there's been the one thing I've noticed more so this season than any other is the physicality, fitness difference. The physicality of the Premier League teams has just gone up a notch.
Right.
I mean, okay, we can argue they're not as talented as years gone by or whatever. In terms of the depth.
Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan, we're live in talkSPORT. Again, the emphasis at some stage later on being Thursday, 12 to 1, will be on boxing. But the emphasis will be on boxing before that too, because Daniel Dubois, the other side of Dubois Wardley, Daniel is going to be in studio very shortly alongside his trainer with whom he is reunited, Don Charles. For the moment, we are focusing on European football tonight for Crystal Palace. They go in 90 minutes away from progressing in the Europa Conference League, they hope. But will it be the last game in charge for Oliver Glasner? His future remains in the spotlight, with the Austrian still not quite ruling out leaving before the end of the season. It is a bit of a mess, all very unseemly. There's a message, Simon, from a Palace fan. Good morning, no name in it. Morning, guys. As a fellow Crystal Palace fan, much like Mr. Jordan, I have to say that Glasner should probably have gone a few weeks ago because the relationship has broken down. He doesn't want to be there. The players appear to be not playing for the jersey or for him any longer. Now, interestingly on that, ahead of this game tonight against Bosnian opposition, goalkeeper Dean Henderson was talking about where the players' minds should be and where their minds shouldn't be.
They certainly shouldn't. They shouldn't. And if they have, they've got to be very careful, because if you don't put the performances in, ultimately you don't get the move you want. So they need to be very careful. So I'm not aware of any of that, but I would suggest they'd have to be careful if they were thinking like that.
I mean, lots of talk, Simon. Henderson was referring to it, that one or two of them have apparently got their mindset on leaving the football club at this particular time. And what is this particular time? We're still in February.
Well, obviously he's talking about Mateta, isn't he, as one of the examples, I suspect, because he's made that position clear. I don't know who else he's talking about, whether we're bringing in people like Adam Morton, Ismail Sarr, and people like that. There's a lot of demand for, and a lot of attached cachet to their performances. It's an interesting one that players are now being forced front and centre into addressing commercial issues around what other players might be doing inside the football club and what the landscape is like. But that's a sophistication of the questions, I suppose. Yeah. And if the players want to put themselves up for those questions, they give answers. And what Dean has said, there is nothing particularly controversial. He's saying if that's what people want to do, if that's where their mindset is, they better be mindful of the fact they've still got to play to earn these kind of moves. Yeah. I think that's a positive message. And I'm pleased to hear, hopefully, he's not one of the players that's agitating or thinking he's got glasses greener somewhere else. But this vacuum is being filled. It's been filled by media voices that are creating outcomes by firing questions at people now. And Oliver Glasner has lost control of the circumstance because Oliver Glasner has said silly things. He's damaged himself, and it's silly because he's such a capable manager. But obviously, like in so many different places and so many different spaces, people that are very good at things have quirks. Yeah. And his quirk is that I didn't get what I want, so I'm going to... and you know, I mean, I also, with all due respect, and people think this is a logical thing for me to say, I don't think Parish is a cakewalk to deal with. I'm not suggesting he should be. I'm not suggesting he should be easy to deal with, but I also think that there is a potential that people can fall out quite quickly. Yeah. We've seen it previously. And we're seeing it here. And it's just a disappointing end to what should have been happening here, very simply, was, like I said yesterday, I know it's easier said than done. It should have been a simple conversation between controlling influence and manager, which is leave on a high. Go out, wanting people want more. You've got your currency, you've got your reputation. We were in part responsible for allowing you to have an entrance to the Premier League. You've done wonderful for us. We haven't been able to achieve the things that you want. You're leaving. Leave well. Okay. It bodes well for you if you leave well.
Well, Palace's problems are there for us all to see. They pale into insignificance when you look at the problems faced by Sheffield Wednesday, Championship club Sheffield Wednesday. Absolutely in turmoil. And this, if you like, is fresh turmoil because we know where they are now. They have gone. Last weekend, the club's relegation to League One was confirmed. They're in all sorts of trouble. Takeover talk persists for interested parties, including American businessman David Storch, I should say, could end up buying Sheffield Wednesday after James Board's bid to take over the Beleaguer club collapsed. It's such a shame, this, Simon. It looks like this fellow Board, alongside German entrepreneur Felix Romer and a member of the Jordanian royal family, were named as a preferred bidder to buy the football club. It looked like they were in pole position, but now they've pulled out of the proposed £47.8 million takeover. Goes from bad to worse if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, doesn't it? It's back to position A.
Not really. Oh, they've got a 4 million cash cow out of these people. These crypto clowns have spent 4 million quid of their own money to get precisely nowhere. So they've got a 4 million cushion against the backdrop of having another bidder come in. The bid was £47.8 million, which is absolute madness for what they're buying. and there was a whole box of tricks underneath the bonnet of costs. And I actually think, probably looking at it from a stand-away position, that they probably jumped before they were pushed in terms of maybe not getting through compliance. So they've taken the ball by the horns and realised that actually they might not get through compliance, and it's cost them £4 million. It's given the administrator a £4 million cushion. £4 million. I mean, what a way to burn cash.
So they've looked under the bonnet and thought, all right, that's not
well,
for us.
you'd like to think that they've got enough under the bonnet prior to being the preferred bidder and prior to putting £50 million for Sheffield Wednesday in the condition that it's in is madness.
And their source of funding, there have to be question marks over that, presumably.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is about a whole raft of other things. But the bottom line is they had the means, they proved the funding, they proved the principle of the cash, they got to the highest bidder, they put £4 million down, which is now gone. They've kissed goodbye to £4 million. And the administrator has other bids in town, and people are going to have to get a bit more realistic about this. It's all well and good suggesting that you want to buy something. That's why I wouldn't get in with my guy into a bidding war. You want this? Go bid for yourselves. Go pull your own arm off at the shoulder. You're not going to put me in an auction to pay twice what the price of this business should be bought for. Great football club, great potential. It's going to take a hell of a lot of work. It's going to get relegated. Might even take a 15-point sanction next year if people are sensible and don't want to pay Chansiri 25p in the pound. And then you've got 6 years hard work and hundreds of millions of quid to get it back to where you might want to get it back to, because anyone buying a football club that isn't a Sheffield Wednesday fan is buying it as an investment.
I saw how you reacted to 47.8 million. What is the figure? What's the number? What will get it?
The lowest possible price you can, which doesn't involve paying Chansiri and really sharpening your pencil. And I think it's sub 20 million quid. Now, that gets you a 15-point penalty. It shouldn't get you a 15-point penalty because the EFL should be able to be pushed into a corner to say, I understand what you want to do because you have a bunch of clubs carping and bitching and whining in League One if you don't give us a 15-point penalty. But the fact of the matter is, it's guidance. And you can cite your precedents all you want. But then, of course, you would have Chansiri and his little cohorts, like Nick DeMarco, trying to argue for the 25p in a pound position and pushing the EFL into a position.
Yeah.
So in the background is Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley will probably buy this football club if he can get it for exactly the price he wants to. It's a hard yard. It's a hard yard. You're going to go down to League One. If you do take a 15-point penalty, you're fighting against relegation to League Two. Right? So you've got 4 or 5 years. And maybe what you do is you have it for a couple of years and you get it into good shape and then you spin it out like Wrexham have done. Wrexham have sold... But Ryan, whatever his name is, and the other fella have sold their influence in and pocketed and made money out of it, and well done to them. They did the hard yards of lifting it up. Other people are going to take it further. Maybe you can do that for 2 years with Sheffield Wednesday. But when my guys were talking about it, and we were talking about it again last night, about going back in again, I said, I don't want to. I don't want to spend 5 or 6 years of my life going to run a football club. 6 years.
So you were still talking about it last night?
Absolutely.
But you decided against it?
Well, I decided against Ryan. I don't want to do it, Ryan. If you want to go and do it, if you want to put your hand up to buy this football club and spend another 100 million quid on it, put your hand up, my old son.
Ryan, your mate with the money?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In the meantime, Sheffield Wednesday take on Southampton at the weekend. Go win that. Give the fans something to cheer about. 10:30, Daniel Dubois and his trainer Don Charles are coming next.
On a normal game, we're not selling out Preston North End on a Tuesday night at home. And, with Snoop there, we've sold it out. It was, a brilliant occasion. And for the fans as well, it was great for the fans to see it. And he got involved with everyone. He walked around the pitch. He was high-fiving everyone, taking photos with the fans. So, everyone really enjoyed themselves.
Did he turn up a big limo, or was he low key, or
Uber?
No,
There was an Uber.
Just in the transit vans with the like the minibus ones. He was in one of them. He got out with his ghetto blaster playing his music and coming to the ground. So yeah, he did make a good entrance.
Now, I'm a bit concerned about this herbal cigarette in the tunnel, according to the Preston manager.
I think that's the smell of a last-minute equaliser, that I think. That's what that'll be. And then my other thing was, how does he know what it smells like in the first place?
Lee, I'm going to say, suspicions were aroused when the goal scorer jumped 411 feet in the air to score a header, by the way.
Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni says Vinicius Jr.'s winning goal was one in the eye for racists. Here's Kev Hatchard.
He's going to keep dancing, he's going to keep celebrating goals, and he's going to keep scoring. So, you know, regardless of how this investigation plays out, and at the moment it is still an investigation that hasn't had an ending, you know, I think he has come out with the way that he's handled himself, Vinicius Jr. I think he's come out with a lot of credit.
Vinicius' winner knocked Jose Mourinho's Benfica out of the Champions League. Scott Minto made the Brazilian man of the match. Now, Real Madrid could face Man City or Sporting next. Chelsea could get PSG. For Liverpool or Spurs, they'll face Galatasaray. Arsenal could get Atalanta, who overturned a 2-goal deficit against Dortmund. The draw takes place tomorrow. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's promising no let-up from his tabletop in Coventry. That's after they came back to beat Sheffield United. Jack Redoni got the winner, taking Cov 5 points clear. And in a World Cup year, Ivan Toney's told us he'll keep plugging away in Saudi, but Thomas Tuchel hasn't called him yet.
I don't expect it to be, you know, because he's got so many other players that he has to be watching also, and I'm sure he'll probably be keeping one eye on me and see what I'm doing. But like I said, I just have to be focused on myself, keep my head down and keep scoring goals.
You can hear more from Darren Bent's interview with Ivan Toney on talkSPORT Drive from 4 p.m.
It is Thursday morning, just gone 10:30. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Yesterday, we were a bit boxing-centric, were we not? Fabio Wardley was here in studio talking about his upcoming fight, and what a fight this should be in the 9th of May in Manchester when he takes on Daniel Dubois. This will be Wardley's first defence of his belt, and it is a belter of a fight. Of that, there is no doubt. And Wardley came in here yesterday and was full of beans, full of confidence, and eagerly looking forward to the occasion. But of course, there are two sides to every story, and there are two fighters in every fight. I'm delighted to say we're joined live, Simon, by Daniel Dubois, and alongside Daniel is his trainer, Don Charles. Don, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Jim.
Good to see you again. And this fella on my right, Daniel Dubois, who very kindly speaks to this show on something of a semi-regular basis when his dad gets him up and out of bed. Daniel, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah.
Good to speak to you. Good to have you here in studio.
Yeah.
7 months on from your last fight, how good does it feel to be back in camp again, Daniel, with a big one on the horizon against Fabio?
Yeah, I'm just privileged. Glad to get this opportunity, and I'm ready to go out there and smoke him. You know, work everything we've been doing in the gym and put it to practice.
What kind of nick are you in? How would you describe where you're at in terms of your fitness, your focus?
I'm ready. I'm in good shape right now. I could fight in just a couple of weeks. You know, I'm in form, and I think I'm going to be just a different level, and better than I've ever fought before. Anyway.
I mean, you were at a different level when you destroyed Anthony Joshua. Are we going to see something like that again?
Yeah, you're going to see a performance of a lifetime from me. I'm going to just put everything I've been working on and I got inside me in the ring and come away with that belt.
Don, it's been well documented. You two split for a time. You went one way, Daniel went another. At one point, it was Tony Sims briefly in Daniel's corner, but you're reunited again. What caused the situation to manifest itself before the resulting U-turn, if you like?
Well, if I can, like I said earlier, thanks for having me on.
Good.
If we can bypass that, it's not that I don't want to answer that. I really want to concentrate on the fight that's happening on the 9th of May.
Have I touched a nerve, Mr. Charles?
No, absolutely not. But I'd rather not.
So what caused the split?
We had a break.
A sabbatical.
We had and we're back together. That's all that matters. And we're looking forward to the fight that's been proposed. We're having
any material changes between the John Charles regime that took Daniel from a slightly difficult period through the Baby Miller fight to the Hrgovic fight to the destruction of Anthony Joshua to the loss to Usyk. Has there been any material changes in the way that you two guys work? Are you going back into the same routine with the same regime with the same set of standards?
If it's not broken, don't try and fix it. Nothing's honestly only us that.
Someone must have thought it was broken.
Right, we had a break, a temporary break. Okay, he didn't have a fight.
Yeah.
During that break, he merely came back. Let's say he went on holiday. Okay, and then he's come back. Nothing, business as usual.
Okay, doke.
It wouldn't be wrong to suggest, Don, and he's sitting right beside me, I'm sure he'd admit it, Daniel fell short against Usyk. What more can you extract from him as his trainer?
Right. What must point out, the man we fell short against, the first fight was controversial, but we're not going to go back to that. The fight in Wembley was conclusive against Usyk. Usyk is going to go down as a generational great. He has beat everybody that's been put in front of him, okay? So we could be forgiven for losing to such a fighter, okay? Fast forward, we've been presented with this great opportunity to, again, for Daniel to challenge Fabio Wardley, the current WBO champion. And all our focus is purely on that. It's a great opportunity. What a comeback fight. And that's really what all my attention, the fighters, the whole team, our attention is focused on getting victory against.
And that's a fair analysis, because what you're doing is bringing the opponent into it rather than necessarily making it about Daniel's performance. And I take that point. Is there more jeopardy for Daniel in this fight? Because you've got the generational great argument with Alexander Usyk. You don't have a generational great argument with Fabio Wardley. So is there more jeopardy for Daniel in his career going into this particular fight? Because if he loses to Usyk, as you just said, you can make an excuse for it. If he were to lose to Fabio Wardley, which will not be in your thinking, I know, but it's part of the makeup of this fight, does that not play a part in the challenge that confronts you guys?
Not necessarily. It's the known rather than the unknown. Fabio Wardley is the known.
How's that then?
Because Daniel has no problem facing an orthodox fighter.
Okay.
Southpaws are hard for anybody to negate a southpaw opposition. Daniel has never had any problem in facing up against an orthodox fighter, and he's relishing the opportunity for this fight, because he knows that he's going to be victorious and become a two-time world champion.
So, Daniel, in your eyes, what are you facing in Fabio Wardley? What is the opponent in the other corner?
Just a guy that has taken on all challenges. He's beating everyone he's faced so far, so I respect that. But I've got to take his O, and again, like I've done before, I've got to take his O and take that belt with me. This is exciting for me. This fight is just full of excitement. You know, fighting in England against a British fighter it's going to be like a local derby, proper old school scrap, and I'm loving it.
Absolutely. Can I just pick you up on something? You talk about Daniel doesn't have a problem in dealing with orthodoxies, but you had a problem with Joe Joyce, who fights orthodox.
The fight was too premature for Daniel. He was only merely young. He's still young. And when he
I was at the fight.
Yeah, when he fought Joe Joyce, he would have been about 24 years old, if I'm correct. Yeah?
2020, wasn't it?
Right. So therefore, it was too early for him. I've always maintained. But that's the history, yeah? He redeemed himself against other oppositions he's faced. And like he said earlier on, he's very, very good at taking people zeros, and nothing's going to change.
How do you process, Daniel? Because when I saw you before the fight against Usyk, you came and saw us at Wembley Stadium. It was myself and Danny Kelly that we did the show before, and you were full of confidence and full of beans, and I thought I saw you in a really good nick. And the fight didn't play out the way it wanted to, and I've spoken to Don about it, and I was disappointed in some of the things that I thought you could have done in the fight, but that's just me as an observer looking in. How do you process the loss to Usyk? How do you process it? Not how does he process it? How do you as a fighter?
I don't even...
Doesn't even dwell on it?
No, I don't dwell on it. It's fight. It's gone. Nah, that's in the past. That's not... That's nothing. Like, I don't even look at it like that. It's gone, and I'm going to fight
Wardley.
Yeah.
I mean, the question marks will remain, though, Daniel, and I know I'm sitting right beside you, so I'm putting myself in something of a spot of danger, potentially, that you lack heart. In moments where a fighter needs to go to the very depths of his soul, maybe you lack a bit of heart. Is that an unfair accusation?
Nah, that's not the case at all. I'm going to show you that. Show these people, the critics, all the doubters that, you know, they're wrong about me, and they ain't got a clue what I've got inside me. I feel like it's just I'm just evolving in my career. I'm just getting better in it every time. Every fight camp we do, we're just getting it right, and this fight is going to be right.
I mean, you and Don may as well listen to this. This lacking of heart that you may or may not have, we put that to Fabio Wardley yesterday. Have a listen.
I sometimes struggle to say, like, oh, you haven't got heart, because don't get me wrong. You've
got to have heart to get in there.
That's my point. Like, it takes a set to get in there in the first place, and then, like he has done, lose to someone, and then get back in there with them and throw yourself back at it. Yeah. So it's a bit of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because it takes some to get there, but then maybe in the moment, in the situation, it all gets on top of you a bit, and not to say you crumble or whatever else, but it all just, you feel the weight of it all, and it all just gets a bit too much, and the pressure and the lights and whatever else. So I can understand the the criticisms.
You were making odd noises during that.
I wasn't.
What did you?
I was looking at. I'm not even watching none of this shit. These words flying about don't mean nothing to me. I'm a pure warrior, pure and simple.
We need to mind our language, Daniel, but you can take it from that, everybody listening.
Does it annoy you? Does it annoy you, Don?
Daniel didn't really bother with that.
Does this sort of observation annoy you? Because it started in the Joe Joyce fight.
Yeah.
And I think that was grotesquely unfair, because I was there, and I think his corner should have done better for him and taken him out rather than put him in a position. But does it annoy you when this constant diatribe about what he's got in moments of great adversity?
Yeah, it's quite laughable at times, because people are still holding on to what they're claiming. That's not the case at all. The kid knows himself. He just said it, okay? If that's the confidence, they're trying to draw some confidence from that, then good luck to them. I thought Daniel redeemed himself. He demonstrated against Baby Miller. Hrgovic, okay? Right? When the going gets tough. Yeah, he's proved it, and we don't have to justify nothing. Yeah, if that Fabio Wardley's team, if that's what they're really holding on to, then good luck.
You seem a bit on edge this morning, Don. I know you, but you do seem very defensive this morning.
The fight is on. When the fight is on, although I'm just the coach, I've got my war head on my way this morning. You have to be in the zone. I mean, he's ready to fight, like he said earlier on. If this fight was in 2 weeks' time, Daniel's always in camp anyway. He lives boxing, drinks, eats boxing. So I've got my fight head on, hence why I might be what you're picking up on. You're probably right.
Fair enough. Last month, Don, you were on with Simon and Spencer on Top Boxing, and you suggested that if and when the fight with Wardley was made, and it has been made, but if and when it was made, then this was an individual that Daniel would pretty much quite easily take care of. This is what you said.
Daniel beats every other heavyweight. He beats every heavyweight, bar the man who's beaten him twice. All the current live heavyweights who are coming through, Daniel still walks through all of them.
You think he beats Fabio?
Most definitely. Easy work.
Easy work. Easy work. Would you still say that this morning, Don?
That's a bit of an overstatement. There is no such thing as easy work, yeah? That's what I felt. I'm a very passionate man. You asked me a question. In fact, you caught me off guard there. There is no easy touches.
It was he that asked you the question. It was Simon.
It's also important to say he wasn't back in camp with Daniel.
Exactly.
And he didn't also know that he was going to be back in camp, so he wasn't currying favour, by the way.
So that's just the man that I am. I'm very honest. Simon, as you know, he's good at what he does. He pulled that one. I was off guard. He caught me with my hands down, Simon. But there is no such thing as easy fight. It's a hard fight, but which Daniel's going to be victorious.
Daniel, you know, it will be far from easy because Wardley is formidable. He's the champion. You're no longer a belt holder at this time. Do you feel you're going in as underdog?
Yeah, if that's what the bookies want to make me, that's perfect for me. I love being a underdog back against the wall, but that's where I perform my best. You know, you're gonna see the best of me, and I'm gonna go out there and knock him out, and prove to the world that I'm the best.
You're gonna knock him out. You have no doubt about that.
No. Performance, skills, footwork, everything. Just all on the night. I'm gonna just show what I got.
No one has managed to do that to Fabio Wardley yet. What makes you so confident that you're the man that will do that?
I'm confident, regardless. This is what I do. I live the life, boxing 24/7. So when they say I've got a name and a date, I'll just lock in.
What will it mean to you, Daniel, if indeed you do become two-time heavyweight champion?
That's history. That's massive. That's history. That's going down as a legend. And everything I've done before. This is bigger than everything I've done before. This is my biggest fight today.
Do you want to finish this for us, Don? What we're going to see on the night? I mean, it's not going to be easy work, Mr. Charles.
No, it's not.
No, there's no. What might we see?
Daniel always. This is from his own statements. In a devastating fashion, it will take Fabio out. His record suggests so. His knockout percentage suggests so.
Good to see you, Don.
Likewise.
Good to have you in studio. As for you...
You all right?
Yeah. I'm all right. Good to see you. You're a good man, Daniel. We love having you in studio. I have no idea what was going on to my right-hand side during some of that, but it was terrific. Daniel Dubois and Don Charles with us live in studio. More on this huge fight coming up between now and 1.
Fan, right, Ed?
Right, Ed?
Right, boys. Yeah, Ed, look, we're just comparing him to other players players that Anthony Gordon could get in what team this is. And I said he's better than Gakpo. Do you agree?
100%. I'd go more than 25% though. Gakpo and Salah this season have both been passengers in the Liverpool team. Like, everyone's wondering why Liverpool are being so poor. It's because we're playing with 9 men every game. Anthony Gordon's miles better than Gakpo. He's like a Diaz. He's not as good as Diaz, I'm not saying that. But with the pace and the little trick and the ability to actually finish, we should have bought him. Instead of Isaac in the summer, we got Ekitike. All right, no one thought Ekitike was going to hit the ground running the way he did. But we should have, instead of buying Isaac, we should have went for Gordon, and he'd have been like a replacement for Diaz.
I think Liverpool are so fixated on buying Isak
They were.
that, and the Ekitike deal got done, and I think they were so far down the line with Isak.
They carried on with it.
I
When
think
really they should.
yeah, and
Thanks to Don Charles and Daniel Dubois stopping by. We're going to discuss the fight further with Spencer Oliver. Not just Spencer, a bunch of other individuals when we get to 12 noon today. But our thanks to Daniel Dubois and a fairly vociferous individual who was part of his travelling party there. Who came into the studio and told Simon what he thought of it.
Nothing to say and saying it too loud was him.
I know. I don't know if the former FA and Arsenal vice chairman David Dean witnessed that. David Dean joins us live in show this morning to talk about matters completely different to Daniel Dubois, Fabio Wardley. But that's what you get in this show, David. Everything's live. You never know the moment.
Life is a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get next.
Indeed.
David Dean, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon.
David, nice to see you.
And you.
Great to see you. 10 years of Gianni Infantino. We're looking at this morning, the man at the top of FIFA, of course. It is incredibly a decade since Infantino was elected as FIFA president, inheriting an organisation engulfed in corruption. And of course, it followed the resignation of Sepp Blatter. Before we speak to David about that, this was Infantino when he took up the job.
I told you I went through a journey, an exceptional journey, a journey which made me meet many fantastic people. Many people who love football, who live football, who breathe football every day. And many people who deserve that FIFA is highly respected. And we will restore the image of FIFA and the respect of FIFA. And everyone in the world will applaud us and will applaud all of you for what we'll do in FIFA in the future. I want to work with all of you together, with all of you, in order to restore and rebuild a new era in FIFA, where we can put again football in the center of the stage.
So 10 years on, where is Infantino's FIFA? As I said, David Dean, who's with us in studio, was a supporter of Infantino from the start and throughout the years, former FA and Arsenal vice chair. Of course, he's a man who's steeped in football. And I think that support for Infantino goes on to this day. On the whole, David, has he been a force for good? How do you see it?
You know, I think so. I first met him when he joined UEFA as a head of legal affairs in 2000. And I was sitting on the UEFA Club Competitions Committee. And then, of course, he became FIFA president in 2015 and inherited a complete mess. You know, the corruption and the scandal. I articulated at the time that I thought FIFA should actually go into administration and start again. And he came in, and to his great credit, he's cleaned up the shop. And he's improved the governance, the accountability, the transparency. And it's a different animal now than when he arrived.
I mean, when I think of it, you were the international president of England's 2018 World Cup bid.
I still bear the scar of that, Jim.
You still bear the scars of
Yes.
that, David. It went to Russia. Would you feel more confident than ever in England bidding for another World Cup in this Infantino era?
I certainly would, and I think, and I hope that we do bid for. Obviously, we're bidding now, as you know, for the Women's World Cup, and I hope we get the Men's World Cup because I think we deserve it. We've got all the facilities, we've got the stadium, we've got the security. We deserve to get it. And when you consider the last time we hosted it was in '66, which is far too long.
You spoke, David, about Infantino going in and cleaning up FIFA's image, but as we sit here today talking about FIFA and Infantino, is the organisation transparent enough yet?
I think it's gone a long way towards that, certainly. And he is an innovator. He's a bit of a risk taker. I think he's fearless. He's confident. He certainly polarises people. I can understand that because we're in the entertainment business, and that goes. I'm afraid that with the power comes the ego. And that's part of the territory. But he's done an awful lot when you think of introducing in 2018 VAR. Today, the VAR is in the dictionary, right? VAR is part of life of football. And he had the guts to introduce it, and then extending the World Cup to 48 teams now, having obviously the World Cup in Qatar, which I spent the whole month there. And with Arsene and myself, we saw 56 out of 60, the best all the criticism, it was the best World Cup I've ever been to, because I managed to see so many games in fantastic stadiums.
Simon, we're going to go into the 11 o'clock break. David's going to be with us.
And what about the Club World Cup? Everybody criticised that. It was an enormous success.
Well, I want to come to that, David, because
I'm sure
Chelsea ended up winning the thing.
Yes.
But as we hit 11 o'clock, Simon, would you be as upbeat about Infantino and what he's done as David is?
Well, I think if you're comparing it to what was there before, I think you have to see the progress. It's still a very opaque organisation. It still lacks transparency and accountability. You still see situations. I went to Switzerland and sat down with Arsene for a documentary that David was part of and talked to him. And I watched the control mechanisms in place about what you can ask and what you can't ask and what you can report and what you can't report. And I got some very interesting answers to questions from Arsene that never found the cut because FIFA would never allow it to. So I still think there's an element of it. I still think they dance too close to the flames at times in terms of involving themselves in situations that they don't really have the length and breadth of the ability to be able to complete the task in, whether that's detailing political aspirations, banning nations, or giving away World Peace Prizes to leaders of different countries. I think all of these are not the precinct of football operators. And Infantino, from the ridiculous assertions that I am gay, I am Arab, I am this, that, and the other. He's a politician at his centre.
Well, we're going to get to that because we'll definitely
expand it broader.
We'll expand it. We'll expand on that very topic, the other side of 11 o'clock, and no doubt hear what David thinks of Arsenal's chances as we go into the run-in. Because after all, we have the former Arsenal vice chair in our midst, David Dean, with us live. It's 11 o'clock. This came up a couple of times. Grappling, wrestling at corner kicks, does it need clamping down upon? Or has it become a part of a team's armoury, if you like, their approach in a game? Former referee Graham Scott, in his Telegraph column, enough already. Corner kicks in football are becoming a farce that's impossible to police and ruining the spectacle. Action is needed. For solutions, I would imitate hockey by forcing teams to place a certain number of players in the other half. It need not be many, but it would create space. In other words, the scene inside the box is way too congested, and there's all sorts of goings on that shouldn't be going on, and it's got to stop. Is he right?
I don't think so. My gut feeling is that it can be managed better. And now we've got VAR and it's here to stay and we've got to embrace it. Let's use it to its max. The problem we've got is on a lot of these situations with the corners, the punishments aren't there for a lot of what's going on. And a part of the reason is, and I understand it from the officials, is that they don't want to be constantly having interruptions and free kicks, but it's a short-term. You've got it for short-term chaos.
Yeah,
will create a better long-term. If you start, so for example, if a defender is facing the other way and not looking at the ball, even if he's not committing a foul, you can give one. For example, that he's not no intention to play the ball, and I'm stopping Simon, and the ball's behind me, you can give a penalty.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. World Cup winner Juan Mata's likened Spain getting over their mental block in 2010 to what England is going through right now.
Sometimes I think you have to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is that England is really, really close to win. Yes. So maybe this summer.
Now playing for Melbourne Victory, Mata's keen to get into coaching.
When I had enough of the sun and the beaches and the great lifestyle here, I will get my umbrella ready and I will go back to England, which is my second home, and I love it there. So, yes, I will go back.
You can see Mata's full interview on the talkSPORT YouTube. One of his former clubs is the biggest transfer net spender in world football over the last 5 years. It's Man United, who are down £692 million on transfers from 21 to 2025. That's according to a UEFA report. Now, Gabby Agbonlahor thinks Ivan Toney would be in the England squad if he'd stayed at Brentford.
Because Thomas Tuchel had been training and saw him and didn't bring him on and hasn't called him back since. So maybe he looked at him and says, maybe you're not as sharp as the other players, so I'm not going to pick you.
Tony's not had a call off Tuchel despite being the top scorer in Saudi Arabia. You can catch part 2 of our Ivan Toney interview on talkSPORT Drive from 4 p.m. Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo has bought a 25% stake in Saudi-owned Spanish second division side Almeria. Al Nassr are also keen for Ronaldo to invest there. At the T20 Cricket World Cup, South Africa were on top in their Super 8 match against West Indies. West Indies lower order rallying, though. They are 163 for 7 with 11 balls left. South Africa yet to bat in that one. And racing trainer Nicky Henderson says he's sad, but he knows he's made the right decision to remove Constitution Hill from next month's Cheltenham Festival. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
There are still more than 30,000 migrants in hotels, and a second suspect has been arrested after a man with an axe was detained at Manchester Central Mosque. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With expert technicians in all our centres across the country, we'll keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top condition this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Wet and windy weather moving southeast across Scotland and Northern Ireland. This afternoon, that wet weather moves into the north and west of England and Wales. Southeast England, though, remaining dry and bright.
Just gone 5 minutes past 11 o'clock this Thursday morning. Thursday being Thursday, we'll talk boxing further between 12 and 1. In the meantime, it is Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT. We're coming to you live, of course, on your TV as well. Even Prime Video, camera on me, camera on Simon, and a camera on this man, the former FA and Arsenal Vice Chair. David Dean is in studio with us this morning. Mr. Dean, of course, has been many things, a huge man of influence in the game of football, but of course has been a supporter of Gianni Infantino from the very start of his reign at the top of FIFA. Infantino, almost incredibly, has been there for a decade now, and David continues to tell us that FIFA are a lot more transparent than they were before Infantino came in the scene. David, that might be the case, but let me put this to you. With a World Cup in the offing, and of course it gets closer with every given day, we're all heading to the US of A in the summer. How close should a FIFA president be to world leaders? And of course, I'm talking about the relationship that he clearly has forged and gone out his way to forge with Donald Trump.
Okay, Jim, I think it's a fair question. But I think it's understandable in a way because with USA combining with Canada and Mexico for what is going to be perhaps the most lucrative World Cup, both just on the pitch and off it, he has to cultivate relationships with the heads of state. You know, they talk about fans' experience, visas, travel plans. You need to have a relationship with the heads of state to make these things flow easily.
I get that, but should it be at Trump's inauguration? Should he be wearing a MAGA hat?
Well, we are in the world of show business here, isn't it? Football is entertainment. Yes, and I said before, with power comes an ego, and Gianni likes that bit of show business attached to him. But in the end, he gets the job done. That's all that counts. And he will do it, because I think it will be a sensational World Cup coming up.
Where does he rate in terms of his ego and the size of it? Has he a bigger ego than Blatter, or is that possible?
I wouldn't say that, but you talk any success, you look at Richard Branson or Alan Sugar or Elon Musk, right? They're all, in their own way, showmen, because that's an age that goes with the territory.
You're nodding, Simon.
I agree, absolutely. I agree. I mean, it's a different sort of functionality that he should be occupying because he's inside an institution. So he's not an entrepreneur. He's an institutional man. And so when you see him on the pitch and you see him bringing people like Salt Bay into the equation, you see some of those things, you think, hang on a second. When you hear about purchases or houses in Qatar and you think to yourself about, well, haven't we been down this route before? Is he better than what was before? Yes. Do they need to go further?
Yeah.
Is there a transparency?
It's quite a low bar, Simon.
Well, yeah, it is. And we've said that. But progress is progress. And it depends what you think. It depends on how accountable you think they should be. It depends if you think they're running the game well. We talk on this show, David, about the ticket pricing of the World Cup and excluding the average fan. Yeah. I would suggest that only 0.01% of the planet can actually watch World Cup live. And if the money is being redistributed to grassroots, then in the end, isn't it for the betterment of the game?
Yeah, the money does go back to the federations and the clubs, as you know. And albeit they are expensive, but it is a one-off event every 4 years. You have a look what happened, the price of the Super Bowl. I mean, it was astronomical. But, you know, that they had over 500 million ticket requests in the first round. That just shows you the demand for it.
Are you for, I mean, you can't be for, David, you might be. FIFA's responsibility was to govern the international game, really. Why is it dipping its beak into the domestic game? We've got this debate. You're on the camp of it about player welfare. And we have the FIFA World Club Championships, which you described earlier on as a success because commercially it made money. But we've now got a situation where the elite get more money. The difference between the elite and the rest of them gets wider and wider because of another competition. And you've got the international governing body stepping into the domestic game and creating outcomes that potentially cause conflict.
Simon, we've got to direct everybody to your programme about football and money.
We do, don't we?
So I think that answers it in many respects. But the Club World Cup was a huge success. Everybody criticised it. Meanwhile, there were 32 teams, 2.5 million spectators in the stadia and 2.7 million viewers on television. The television broadcaster DAZN, I was with them during the Club World Cup. They were ecstatic about it. So everybody criticised it. And meanwhile, it was a huge success. And now we're going to see it once every 4 years. And by the way, before that, they criticised it. There used to be the Confederations Cup in the same place in the calendar.
But that's all fine and good, David, but should FIFA be anywhere near the club game?
Well, but why should they not? These are competitions, not the club game. This is really international, getting the best in the world. We have the best country in the world for the World Cup. Why should we not have the best club playing in the world?
But have we not got that with UEFA?
But that's only UEFA. That is 55 countries. We're talking about the whole of the world here.
Yeah.
I was at the final at the MetLife Stadium, right, last summer when the stadium was full. The Brazilian fans were phenomenal. We had the Chelsea fans there. It was a sensational game of football. Why should anybody deny that?
While we're talking about expansions, I know Arsene Wenger continues to do great work with FIFA, and you remain, quite rightly, why wouldn't you be, a huge admirer of Arsene Wenger's. But do you go with him that the World Cup should be every 2 years, not every 4?
I think, in fact, they've had to backtrack on that because it's going to be once every 4 years. But let's just talk about a little bit about, because I think it was a masterstroke of Gianni to appoint Arsene as head of global football development, because he gives FIFA football credibility, which is so important. And what he's done is sensational. I mean, he's introduced a talent development scheme now where they've got 60 academies already in the last couple of years. They're going to have over 100 in the next year or two, which improves the coaching and getting more boys and girls playing the game. And that will be Arsene's legacy in the end, I believe. And they've introduced, he's got development schemes going on with under-7. They're going to have an under-17 World Cup every year. They just had one in Qatar recently. That's going to be an annual event. Then they're going to introduce an under-15 tournament. So, it's all about getting the... so I'm all in favour of what's going on at the moment there. And they're unsung heroes. You don't hear about this.
No, fair play, fair play. So Arsene Wenger doing great work. Infantino doing great work. But David, be honest with me. Is there not a limit? Did you look away as many did when Infantino was on stage presenting Donald Trump with the Peace Prize? I mean, this was a moment.
There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go. I'm gonna wear it right now. Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The world is a safer place now. The United States 1 year ago was not doing too well. And now I have to say we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we're going to keep it that way. Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great time. And Johnny, a tremendous honor. Thank you.
David, I mean, there is a limit to what we can take, is there not?
I can only say 2 words there: show business. Right, we're in the entertainment, but he's promoting the sport.
I could come up with 2 others. Sick bucket. I mean, honestly, was it not taking it too far?
I'm not going to get drawn into that because it's a sideshow. Let's concentrate on the football. Let's see what is football in a better place. And by the way, I've got to mention UEFA here because I think they do a great job today. Every club wants to play in Europe, obviously in the Champions League. So I think football is now, and Simon, because he ran a powerful club for many years and did a great job with it, right? And it's not easy. It's getting harder and harder today because of the competition and the money swishing around.
And governance.
I want to put this to you, though, David, and I do think that this is relevant to the whole thing. He was Infantino re-elected unopposed in 2019 and 2023. When a president becomes all-powerful without a challenge, is that not a problem?
Well, there's no reason why he shouldn't be challenged at the next election. He probably will be. There's people
by whom?
Out there.
Who's on? I mean, who's on the horizon.
I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. But there are people out there who would very much like it. It's a huge honour. You don't get a better honour than being president of FIFA, the world governing body of the sport. So I'm sure as it happens, I think he'll probably get in unopposed because he's got so much support around the world.
See, there you go.
And I see
unopposed.
it. No, but I see it because people know if they're going to challenge him, they probably won't win. That may be a deterrent for them not to stand. But that's another story.
But is this not the point, though, David? We had this kind of thing with Sepp Blatter. Unopposed, never challenged.
No, but he will almost certainly. There will be somebody else putting their name forward. We'll see where it goes to. But I think that he's got such support, he will still get back in again. Is my view.
The World Cup is fast approaching, as we said, and I think it's going to be a blockbuster. Yes, but on Infantino himself, is he doing anything that maybe you think we are not doing X or Y, so do this or do that? Because I know you observe him closely.
Yeah, I do, and I'm not saying he's not flawed, but having said that, is he doing a good job overall? I think he is. I think the FIFA is in a good place. I think football globally is in a good place. There's tremendous challenges with football, as Simon knows only too well. We've got something called multi-club ownership now. You've got over 400 clubs around the world in multi-club ownership. And you've got to protect the sanctity of the sport to make sure that it is running smoothly.
Integrity, yeah.
And the integrity.
Yeah.
That is a big issue. The football calendar is another big issue it's got to deal with, where that people are saying there's too much football. I'm not sure that's true. I want to see empirical proof, by the way, before we go down that way. But then I've got an answer to that, and you know what that is. We've discussed this before, and you may not agree, Simon.
Which is reduce the size of the Premier League.
You've got it in one. You know you're ahead of the game, Simon. Right? I wanted to see all major clubs in Europe have 18 clubs. We've already got Germany and France gone down to 18. I think the Premier League should be 18 clubs. I've said that when we started it, the mandate when we formed the Premier League in 1992, it's going to be an 18-club league. We had 22 clubs, but that's another story.
If Infantino was to depart the shores sometime soon, David, for whatever reason, what would be his biggest legacy?
I think firstly cleaning up the shop, because it was a basket case. It was a disaster. I think introducing VAR, which is a commonplace today. It's still got its critics. It's not perfect. But I believe this World Cup, you will see an improved VAR. You'll have the best technicians, the best technology, right? I think there'll be very few queries. Introducing the Club World Cup was another thing. Women's football, let's just talk about that. When he came in, there were only 140 national associations with women's teams. Today, there's 198 national associations with women's teams. That is an achievement in itself.
I can't have the former Arsenal vice chair in studio without asking you, is the club about to end its 22-year title wait this season?
Well, they've got a great chance, haven't they? They're fighting on all four fronts. It's in their hands. They've got the best squad that I can remember for a long time. I think they're well organised, difficult to beat. They've had a few blips, but nothing goes in a straight line. We were blessed with Arsenal and the Invincibles in 2003-04, going. It was 49 games, going the whole season unbeaten. By game 8 this year, Jim, all the major teams have got beaten. Arsenal got beaten, Liverpool, Spurs, Manchester United, Man City. Everybody lost by game 8, not game 38. That shows how difficult it is to win the Premier League and to be invincible.
Talking about the Invincibles, Martin Keown, has he always been paranoid?
Best man marker in the business.
Brilliant. David, it was fun, wasn't it? Great to see you this morning.
I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thank you.
Former Arsenal Vice Chair David Dean with us in studio. I've known you for many years, David. Terrific. Great having you on board.
My great
Thank you
pleasure.
so much. A lot more to get through. Stay with us. We're live in talkSPORT. Simon, it's reported Frank Warren of Queensberry is engaged in a legal battle with the companies Sella and TKO, headed up by Turki Al Sheikh and Dana White. They are fronting Zufa Boxing. What's all this about? Mr. Warren's company, Queensberry, is claiming that Sella and TKO breached contracts they'd signed with them and went behind his back to form a venture, Zufa, that aims to dominate boxing. The Telegraph understands this morning that Queensberry will seek up to $1 billion compensation for income the company claims it would have made had the contracts been honoured. Frank suing Turki and Al Sheikh and Dana White. Turki Al Sheikh and Dana White. It seems it's all getting a bit nasty, isn't it? And those who were once friends are very much no longer friends.
Well, I mean, they fling writs around like confetti in this space at times, don't they? But I mean, it's kind of in this territory of where I suggested it might be at some point, which is that the Saudis will have their own lifespan, their own attitude towards the boxing industry, and eventually not have the necessity to deal with the Eddie Hearns and Frank Warrens of the world if their ultimate aim is to conquer demand and diminish the sport that they're in by being the sole force in it. Now, Frank even has a contract with them. First of all, he was the person that opened the door. Let's not forget that prior to this relationship that's now in the world of boxing in terms of the Saudis being so influential, in 2023, Frank was the gatekeeper, was the intellectual capital.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Now then, our thanks to David Dean once again, but right now we're joined by Sean Martin from BetMGM. And Sean, good morning to you. Let's start with the Champions League and where we're at right now. Good morning.
Morning, lads. Yeah, well, first of all, Juve almost getting the job done, if not for a ludicrous red card. I'm just a tad salty about that one, because that game, also the only one that let down the both teams to score fourfold that I told you about yesterday. Galatasaray waited till extra time to get their goal, unfortunately. But more to the point, we know our last 16, albeit not necessarily the exact ties. 6 English Premier League sides in there. Arsenal, favourites for the competition at 7-2. They could get Bayer Leverkusen or Atalanta. Some danger there, but you'd think over 2 legs, probably fine either way. Notably, they're guaranteed to be in the opposite half of the draw to 9-2 second favourites Bayern Munich, which is obviously a bonus. Liverpool and Spurs, difficult tie either way, really. It's either Atletico Madrid or Galatasaray. Galatasaray, of course, beat Liverpool earlier this season already. Liverpool 9-1 to win it all at the moment, which is the same price as Real Madrid. Real Madrid are actually one of the teams Man City could draw. It feels like they end up with one another all the time the past few seasons. City 7-1 for the trophy, and their other opponent option is Bodo Glimt. They've done a number on Pep Guardiola and co already, as we spoke about yesterday.
Yeah.
And then for me, Jim, the most interesting pair of ties is Chelsea getting either 7-1 joint third favourites PSG or Newcastle. Newcastle will get either Chelsea or Barcelona. I was speaking to Jordan, the Chelsea fan, this morning, Jim, and he fancies Newcastle, but dare I say, a couple of Newcastle fans I work with likewise fancy Chelsea, and they were at pains to point out they've beaten Chelsea twice and drawn once in the last 3 against them. And also, if they do draw one another, I had this pointed out to me earlier on, Jim, I believe they'd end up playing one another 3 times in a week, because they're slated to meet in the league in mid-March as well. So what a big week that would be.
Absolutely. Europa Conference League tonight, and of course the small matter of Rangers Celtic on Sunday. What are you thinking?
Yeah, we'll start with the Conference League. Palace going to tonight locked 1-1 after the first leg. Beat Wolves on Sunday at the death, 13th in the Premier League, 32 points. I'm not really sure if that's quite enough to allay any fears yet, Simon, but 1 defeat in 5 all competitions, despite the whole Oliver Glasner circus, and Man United next on Saturday. I can't imagine a massive amount of rotation or real jeopardy though tonight, given Palace are 8-1 on to win the game and 20-1 on to qualify. In the Europa, Nottingham Forest, fantastic first leg, means they've got a 3-0 lead against Fenerbahce at the City Ground. They're also odds on to win tonight at 11-20 with a draw 3-1. Got Brighton at the weekend, could leapfrog Spurs, we were talking about it earlier, could leapfrog Spurs if things go for them. but could also allow West Ham to overtake them if things properly go against them. Could factor into the team selection equation a bit for them tonight. And I've done my best to avoid it, Jim. But
go on.
Celtic, well, yeah, where do I start? I said before to you guys that only one team in the last 30 years has won the Scottish title, losing 7 games, and we've now lost 7. So despite the fact the odds are still really quite tight, I think we're 11-5, third favourites, Rangers 2-1, Hearts 6-4. History, or recent history anyway, suggests that we are genuinely third favourites in practice now as well as theory. I also mentioned this crazy run of away fixtures, which starts tonight in Stuttgart, 4-1 down from the first leg and 13-2 to win tonight. So probably, you never know, keep the faith and all that. Probably though, out of the Europa in that one. And then it's away to Ibrox on Sunday, which is certainly a don't lose, but really, Jim, a must win. 2-1 you're getting at the moment for Celtic to win on Sunday. That's probably given not just recent form, but the fact Celtic haven't won at Ibrox since 2023. We then go away to Pittodrie midweek and then away to Rangers again next weekend in the Scottish Cup. These 4 games I don't think will define the season, so to speak, as I think that's been defined by everything that's happened already. But it could decide it in a way, Jim, because that's 4 games, 3 competitions, and you could be out or close to out of all 3 if things don't go well. You keep the faith, as I say, but that's the stark reality of matters at the with Celtic at the moment, as I see it.
It's a huge game on Sunday, Simon. They always are.
Yeah.
But as Sean was saying there's Martin and Celtic out in Stuttgart tonight.
Yeah.
An uphill task, 4-1 down from the first leg. Rangers players sitting at home tonight, preparing again tomorrow for the game on Sunday. You have to think home advantage at Ibrox. You have to think it's very much Rangers' favour.
Towards Rangers. I mean, Celtic haven't been great in the last 2 or 3 performances. They got out of jail against Kilmarnock. They got out of jail the previous week.
Yeah.
They got caught on the weekend. Got done by a last-minute goal in and around that, losing the game 2-1. And they've got bashed last week at home by Stuttgart. So it leans towards Rangers, but the occasion will take care of itself. And whilst the Rangers will have an advantage because they're not lifting their legs until Sunday.
Yeah.
It depends. If Celtic go there and get a good result, who knows what that does to their confidence and what lift it gives to them. If they go there and conversely and get beaten outside like they did at home, I don't think that helps in any shape or form.
Sure thing. And let's finish with the BetMGM Premier League darts in Belfast tonight, Sean.
Yep, night 4 in Belfast, so that means it's a home night for Josh Rock. He'll be hoping that kickstarts his season. He's currently bottom, Jim, with 0 points after 3 weeks. 13-10 to beat fellow debutant Jan van Veen tonight in the last of the quarter-final ties. But starting those matches is a rematch of last week's semi-final. Luke Littler against Johnny Clayton. Clayton demolished Littler 6-1 at the Hydro last week. I was there, I saw it. But Littler, I must say, lads, won the Poland Darts Open at the weekend and looked absolutely superb. Averaged over 105 for the whole tournament. Beat Van Veen in the final, who'd hit a 9-darter in the final as well. Littler odds on at 3-10 to beat Clayton and 6-4 favourite to win his first night of the season. Elsewhere, Luke Humphries also outside the playoff spots. He plays Stephen Bunting first, meaning the 2 Lukes would meet in the semi, and that means one is guaranteed, or at least one is guaranteed to miss out on a final for the 4th week in a row. Michael van Gerwen's also back after missing Glasgow with illness. He plays Gerwyn Price. Speaking of Gerwyn Price, very quickly, I mentioned Van Veen hit a 9-darter at the weekend. Well, Price hit 2 in one night in this very arena a couple of years ago. It's 13-2, so 6.5 to 1 for a perfect leg tonight at any point, Jim. And therefore, of course, BetMGM handing out our first set of 18-carat golden darts of the season as well, lads.
Excellent. Sean, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy Sunday at Ibrox. Visit betmgm.co.uk. Download the app. 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Been chatting in the office earlier. We're discussing Arsenal, how they've embraced the dark arts under Arteta, time wasting, being annoying to play against. Bit of housery. We wanted to know whether you're a fan of the way Arsenal go about their business. Here's Cundy's take on Arsenal's housery and dark arts from last season.
And also, who are Arsenal? And what have they done in the last 20 years? Seriously? How can they be taking that battle there? Quieten yourselves down. You're a good side, really good team, and showed that the weekend. You're probably going to be second again.
Yeah.
When you win something, then you can shout from the houses. Then you can start doing all this housery. Then it's built on nothing other than, it comes from Arteta. He loves to promote, and it's fine. Arsenal fans would love it, and I totally get it. I watched Chelsea under Jose, right? Jose won things. Jose won Premier League. Back-to-back Premier Leagues.
Yeah.
He was there. You earn the right.
Yeah.
You earn the right. And right now, Arsenal haven't earned the right to be doing that sort of housery.
Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni says Vinicius Jr.'s winning goal was one in the eye for racists. Here's Kev Hatchard.
He's going to keep dancing, he's going to keep celebrating goals, and he's going to keep scoring. So, regardless of how this investigation plays out, and at the moment it is still an investigation that hasn't had an ending, I think he has come out with the way that he's handled himself, Vinicius Jr. I think he's come out with a lot of credit.
Vinicius' winner knocked Jose Mourinho's Benfica out of the Champions League. Scott Minto made the Brazilian man of the match. Now, Real Madrid could face Man City or Sporting next. Chelsea could get PSG. For Liverpool or Spurs, they'll face Galatasaray. Arsenal could get Atalanta, who overturned a 2-goal deficit against Dortmund. The draw takes place tomorrow. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's promising no let-up from his tabletop in Coventry. That's after they came back to beat Sheffield United. Jack Redoni got the winner, taking Cov 5 points clear. And in a World Cup year, Ivan Toney's told us he'll keep plugging away in Saudi, but Thomas Tuchel hasn't called him yet.
I don't expect it to be, because he's got so many other players that he has to be watching also, and I'm sure he'll probably be keeping one eye on me and see what I'm doing, but like I said, I just have to be focused on myself, keep my head down and keep scoring goals.
You can hear more from Darren Bent's interview with Ivan Toney on talkSPORT Drive from 4 p.m.
It is Thursday morning. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. Just gone 11:30, live on your TV as well. You can watch this show as well as listen to it, and many of you are doing just that. We were talking to the former vice chair of Arsenal, David Dean, who was talking about Infantino, Gianni Infantino, in charge of FIFA almost unbelievably for a decade now. And of course, all eyes very soon at the end of this domestic season on the World Cup in the US of A. England are there, Scotland are there. Will the Welsh get there? Will Northern Ireland get there? Well, that remains to be seen. But 105 days out from the World Cup, my goodness, all the focus will be on it sooner than later. I am delighted to welcome former Spurs, Blackburn, Villa, USA goalkeeper Brad Friedel to the studio this morning as we focus on this great tournament. Mr. Friedel, it's been a while. Good morning.
Yeah, long while. Nice to see you, Jim. Simon.
Good to see you, Brad. What was it, 82 caps for the US of A?
82. Yeah.
And proud of it?
Yeah, of course.
I'll bet.
Yeah, 2 Olympics, 3 World Cups, and it was the long travel. Things were different back then as well, though. you know, I retired a little bit early. I could have carried on a little bit more. Obviously, I played till I was 44. But the trips back and forth, and you know, when we first started, we didn't have the travel that the players have today, and it was a little bit harder on the body and the mind. But yeah, I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
And now living part of your life in the Bahamas. Life is tough, Brad, is it not?
Well, life was fun. Life was fun. Got 6 kids to look after, and live Bahamas, Istanbul. I'm in the UK all the time. Gonna hopefully a great World Cup in the summer.
Yeah. And we are going to be seeing more of you, Brad, during that tournament out there. That is then, this is now 105 days out from the World Cup itself. USA, Canada, Mexico host what should be football's greatest ever show. Do you think, Brad, this tournament is going to live up to its billing?
I would love to say yes, being American. Listen, Americans can put on an event for sure. I've never seen this going on in America. I've never seen a right and a left so disgruntled with one another. I've never seen it so separated from one another. I hope, just like we saw in Russia, just like we saw in Qatar, that once the tournament starts, everyone comes together. Mexico, Canada, U.S. comes together and puts on a brilliant event. A little bit worried about some of the quality of the first round matches. You know, opening the event up to so many teams. I think once the knockout matches come, we're going to see some brilliant football, as you always do in the World Cup. I sincerely hope we stop listening to stories about funding for security and all this stuff going on, and we can just focus on the teams. March is a big month. We'll know, you know, to get the final roundup of who's going to be playing who and where and what and how, and then the excitement can start. So it's more of, at this stage, a hope, you know, and let's keep it positive and hope we get there.
I want to talk about what kind of America we're all going to be heading to, but there's a heat factor as well. It is going to be super hot out there.
I was very surprised that they chose to do the final in New York in the summer, especially when you're on an open roof stadium. That you have a tremendous chance of thunderstorms, and you can hail, and when you have lightning in the U.S., you have to get off the pitch and out of the stadium. I think it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes.
We saw that in the World Cup Championship.
Each time. In '94 World Cup, the final was on the West Coast. You don't have those weather issues. It is warm on the West Coast, but there's no humidity. Humidity it's brutal, Jim. When you're in Texas, when you're in Florida, when you're in the Northeast of the United States in the summer, even in the Midwest. I mean, you go in Kansas City.
Yeah,
it is hot.
Yeah,
it's really hot.
So, Brad, this leads me to it. What kind of America are people going to? This is your country. You're a proud American. You're from Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, what people are seeing in the news is happening. It's no joke. Again, my statement earlier, like, people were really worried about Russia and Qatar. I hope when they go for the 30 days or 40 days they're over there, that it is just about the World Cup. I'm hoping we see when Holland play, you know, the Sea of Orange going through and going to the bars and the restaurants, and I anticipate that's what's going to happen. Americans, as I said, they love an event, and the World Cup is the largest event on the globe in the sporting nature. So, you know, I hope everyone's very friendly. I really do, but I have a little asterisk next to that right now. There's some work to do. The American people got to get their act together and start bringing a little bit more humanity into the situation.
Right. So, I mean, we heard what happened at the Winter Olympics. You did as well, Brad. Some US athletes discussing their mixed emotions about representing the nation. Freestyle skier Hunter Hess, one of them. And that elicited a response from Trump, who called Hess a real loser. Are you worried, Brad, that we're heading out there and there's going to be a bit of football alongside the Donald Trump show?
Well, I've seen what FIFA has tried to do and align themselves with Trump and the administration, and I understand why they're trying to do that, to try to keep things positive. But it is split, Jim. There's no two ways about that. You see, the women's hockey team doesn't go to the White House. The men's team does go to the White House. You see the Seattle Seahawks turn down the invitation to the White House. It is split. So I would hope that a World Cup does not become any type of politician show. It's not for that. It's for sport. So you know, I hope they're getting things. I'm saying this word a lot. I know hope. I hope they're getting things in line to have 30 days of just World Cup.
Right. You don't want footballers speaking out, Brad?
No. I don't want. I would hope they don't have to. Listen, if someone wants to speak out, free speech, so to speak in America, you can speak out if you want to. But I hope people don't have to. But each day we all read something new where people are speaking out because they feel very strongly on one side or the other.
Would you keep quiet if you were interviewed ahead of this World Cup and you were a player in it?
I mean, I wouldn't normally bring politics into anything. I've never brought politics up in my life until this last sort of 2.5 years. I've never spoken about it this much with anybody.
So why not even my mom? So why
because
now?
It's a divide. We're talking about sports. You're asking me if the World Cup, what type of America are people going to be going and seeing? Right now, I have to tell you openly and honestly, it's split. It is a split America. Do I think people are going to get confronted on the street if they're cheering for Spain? No, I don't. I don't think that will happen. But they might see ice somewhere, and they might see something else that's going on. I think if they're there supporting their country in a World Cup, I don't think something necessarily is going to happen to them. But these are things that are genuinely happening right now.
Have you met Trump?
No.
You're quite happy you haven't met him?
I'm indifferent. I met Ronald Reagan. I met Bill Clinton. George Bush spoke to us on the phone in 2002. It would be an interesting conversation as a group of teammates to see if you were ever invited, what would happen. That would be because any team in the United States of America, any team, any sport, men's, women's, the conversation will be split because the thoughts are that different.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting, Brad. Pochettino, the US manager, said his player, Timothy Weah, shouldn't involve himself in debates around ticket pricing for the FIFA World Cup. Just focus on on-field issues.
So,
is he right?
Well, Mauricio was saying, I know Mauricio very well. Mauricio was saying that not to become political. It wasn't a political statement. He was saying it that he just wants the players to focus on football.
Yeah.
And straight away, this is a great point that you brought up. Straight away, United States of America is divided, and some people are saying, why do we have a coach that doesn't understand the First Amendment right to free speech? It's not what Mauricio Pochettino was saying. He was saying, I just want my players to be focused on playing. That's it. But right now, anything that gets said gets taken way out of proportion on both sides of the aisle.
What do you expect from the USA, the team under Mauricio?
So Mauricio started, and he comes in, and it was great that he's come in because it's a completely different mentality for American players to deal with. And you saw the results at the beginning. The results don't lie. And there was some turbulence going on, and you saw what happened with Christian Pulisic, who was the best player, the U.S. Well, I'd argue Weston McKennie's up there, but you know there was some trouble. But I knew I was probably the only pundit or the only ex-player that was positive with Mauricio, but only because I had firsthand information and experience on what he can do, and I knew that he was trying to create an atmosphere off the pitch that was going to enable him to work the players like he wants to work them and train them and get them as a cohesive unit. Recently, the results have been excellent, and I totally anticipate there being 1 or 2 shocks on the World Cup squad that gets named, and I anticipate the team to be very well organized. I think they're going to be high pressing. I think they're going to be very fun to watch, and I think when it gets to the knockout stages, we'll just lack that extra bit of quality, as the United States does, to go through, but I think we'll have a very good showing and get the country behind the team.
But you're saying you'll get to the knockout stages. You'll get out a group with Paraguay, Australia, and a playoff winner.
Yes, and likely going to be Turkey, who's a very good team. But I do see us getting out of the group, especially with the new format. And then it's luck of the draw. If you get drawn against, and I'm not saying we could even play Brazil, or England or someone. If you get drawn against a Brazil or England, you could lose as the United States of America.
Yeah,
that's what happens. It's a reason why only, I believe, 8 nations have won the World Cup in the history of the World Cup, because it's hard to win.
Sure thing. We'll talk about England under Thomas Tuchel. Might talk about Scotland under C.V. Clarke as well, and who Brad feels may end up holding the famous trophy aloft. Brad Friedel with us live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
last time out, Josh, in the Masters, you struggled against the boy wonder. Is he so much better than anyone would ever believe, Luke Littler?
Yeah, there has been a couple of times I've let him off when we played, but listen, you have to learn from them mistakes. And they got away, get the game against me at the Masters, which was my own fault. It just wasn't. I don't think I prepped myself right. So, but we all learn from mistakes and we move on. But at the minute, he is the best player in the world for a reason. 2-time world champion. What the difference is? What's he doing differently than you? I mean, because it seems like a simple thing to throw the things and hit the numbers. Is it consistency? How good is he? I just think he's a control freak. he's like a robot, just can do it better than anybody else at the minute. And how happy are you that obviously every time anybody speaks to you about stuff, they bring him up? I apologise. I'm just going to... No, it doesn't bother me because, listen, he's made our sport the way it is today. A lot of young kids playing it now. It obviously prize money now goes up. Darts is probably one of the most watched sports in the world right now. So for him, what he's done is absolutely fantastic, and we have to tip our hat off to him.
Is it a bit annoying that he's, you're...
Now then, the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. Matt Ford, Jacob Hawley are joined by one of England's greatest ever goalkeepers, David Seaman, to discuss the importance of squad harmony at a World Cup. Download How to Win the World Cup. It's available now wherever you get your podcast from. We've got another very famous and very capable former goalkeeper in our midst. Brad Friedel is with us, former Spurs, Blackburn, Aston Villa, Liverpool. I mean, it all comes back, Brad, when I start chatting to you again. 80-plus caps for the US of A. And, of course, Brad's going to be with us out there in the US during the summer when the whole thing gets going. We've been talking about the USA. We've been talking about USA under Mauricio Pochettino. You rate Mauricio very highly, and as you say, you know him well, and you played under him. Might they shock a few people, Brad? Could they really go deep in this tournament with the home backing?
Sure, they could, but it's hard. I see them getting up to the quarterfinal stage if they have a good draw in the knockouts, and then once you're in the quarterfinals, you're playing a big boy, right? And it's. Is the United States better than France? Like player for player, squad, everything? No. Could they beat them on a given day? Goalkeeper has a worldie, sending off early, they go to penalties. Yes, they can. But, play Brazil 10 times. Is the United States beating them 6 or 7 times? No, they're not. It's tough. Yeah. Play against Spain, it's tough. Play against Germany, it's tough. When they get to that, could they beat them? Yes. I mean, I was part of a 2002 World Cup team. We went to the quarterfinals, and we were arguably the better team against Germany. Came up against an inspired Oliver Kahn, and we were knocked out. We were very close to being to the semifinals. So it can happen. Wes McKennie's a wonderful footballer when he's fully fit and focused. A truly wonderful footballer. Tyler Adams, great attitude, great mentality if he's fit. Chris Richards, really coming up. We have good players. Are we better than France and England? Like I just mentioned it. Sure. No, we're not. No. But on a given day, that's why you play the games.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right. On any given day, Scotland, Brazil. You know what I'm saying? How do you rate England's chances under Tuchel?
I rate England's chances very highly. I think they're one of the best teams going into the tournament. The issue for the English team, same issue is going to be for the Scottish team and some of the other European nations, is the climate and the conditions. I mean, I think if you look at England's brackets, they could possibly have to play in Mexico City against Mexico. I believe if Mexico goes there, then you're talking altitude, stage 5 smog alerts, another travel, another time zone change, and ridiculous heat. You're talking five elements and a home crowd from Mexico. Like those will be tough games. Is England better than Mexico? Yes, absolutely are. Can Mexico get there? I don't know. They've had their own troubles, but like those are the type of games that could be.
You're right, Brad. I was there, and
that could be hard. Yeah,
Mexico City, you couldn't breathe.
It's suffocating. I played there in qualifying games, and they kick us off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, it's 40 degrees on the pitch and you can't breathe. You have players on oxygen tanks at halftime. Yeah. You know, and like Kobe Jones, he had asthma and he's like coughing up black soot out of his lungs at halftime. It's hard in these elements, and it's no joke. And people will watch the game on TV and wonder why, wow, he looks knackered. It's because he is.
I remember in the heat looking at people like Alex McLeish, red-haired big Alex McLeish, Gordon Strachan. Yeah. I mean, my God, it all comes back. Do you expect Pochettino, and this is for you as well, Simon, to come back to the Premier League post-World Cup?
I would love Pochettino to stay at the U.S. and do another 4 years of really galvanizing the mentality of the U.S. player. Do I see that happening? Probably not. Do I think he's good enough to come back to the Premier League? Absolutely. Would it be tempting? Yeah, I would think so for Mauricio and his staff, and he's one of the best in the game. So it wouldn't surprise me if he did, and it wouldn't surprise me if people are already trying to speak with him.
I mean, the sensible money, Simon, on him returning to Tottenham.
It depends upon the clubs that you're talking about. Do I think Mauricio Pochettino is a serial winner? No, I don't. Do I think he's a bridesmaid? I think he has been a bridesmaid. And I think of PSG, everybody wins with PSG, so there's no badge of honour there. I was surprised at the decision-making process to go to America. I can see the financial benefits of a nation that's embracing soccer now. If you look at the MLS and what's going on with that, when I was over there last year looking into Miami with Beckham's people and understanding the scale of that operation, the scale of the MLS, I still think the standard is miles beneath what's required to be a top league. I sat with the MLS commissioners, and they think they're going to be in the top 6 leagues in 5 years. Forget about it. You're a mile off.
No chance. I agree.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, the financial benefits of the opportunity that exists in the MLS, and you're seeing these academies springing up in America, and the monetization of football, soccer, as they call it, in that part of the world is huge. But as a competitive football manager, does he belong in the Premier League? Yeah. Does he belong at a top side that's capable of winning things? I don't know. I think he's a very good coach. I think the transition from him at Southampton to Tottenham was revelationary and revolutionary. But there's this feeling in my mind that he's a bridesmaid, and there's this missing gene that takes you from being a really good coach that get a whiff of it. I can have a whiff of it. I can have a good look at it. I can get there, to the guy that can close the deal.
Is that harsh, Brad?
I mean, it's fair when you look at the trophy cabinet. I mean, that's. I was. If he went to a Man United and was building things up, I think he can get there. Like I know him. He has a drive to win. Like when you were chaired, you would love him as your employee because you know that you're getting. Not saying that you'd keep him forever. I'm just saying you honest work, good work, like really does everything he can for you and your club while he's there. So
it depends on the club, doesn't it? I mean, without betraying confidences, I think one of the people that he worked for felt that there was a missing element of being that ultimate winner. That ultimate get it across the line, drag you there. Now, they might have their own questions to answer about the reasons why he didn't get the winning mechanism.
It's funny, and I know who you're talking about, of course. But and I think him not being at Tottenham right now is the reason why they're not doing well. Daniel, I thought he was a brilliant chairman, really did. And I thought actually if Mauricio and Daniel could have communicated together a little bit more, they could have created a brilliant thing. I mean, if you look what Daniel Levy did when I first signed the Lodge, you've been there, I'm sure. Probably one of the worst Premier League training grounds for a team that was supposed like Champions League and Europa League. I mean, the training ground facility, brilliant. Stadium, brilliant. 560 million quid in revenue last year. So you're now talking, you're getting your foot.
What the hell's going on in this club?
No. Well,
first of all, it was there last year as well, and not just now.
Yeah,
what the hell's going on? Everyone,
his power was getting.
Everyone that says about Spurs goes. I mean, I had Tim Sherwood going. Yeah, it was nice that we had hot and cold taps that went on. You saw that one, yeah. Right. But the fact is that we had a culture inside the club that doesn't win. So you've been there. What goes on in that club that turns them into what they are now?
So Mauricio was pushing Daniel's buttons to get there. Daniel was pushing back with Mauricio, and I really think if they could have gotten through that last little point, they could have pushed each other to there. And I think I don't know what really culminated in the end. And I think if you sat down privately with Daniel, you might have said, maybe I should have stuck that out. And I think if you speak to Mauricio, and you know him, but I just think I thought they worked really, really well together. And you had at the time, and I'll get on to one more point about Tottenham and why I don't think they get quite there, is you have a Gareth Bale, a Luka Modric, a Moussa Dembele. He's a Ledley King on one leg, albeit, but he was better than most on one leg. And you had all these great players. You were bringing through a Harry Kane, and you were just about there. One of the problems that Tottenham has right now today, and you'll appreciate that from your Palace time, if you're a player and Liverpool or Man City are offering you, let's just call it 200 grand a week, and Tottenham's offering you 200 grand a week, you're going to the other club. So now if you're Tottenham and you're Daniel and you're a very clever guy and you're very good with numbers and you know what players' values are, do you offer them 240, 250, 260 to come to your club and get your financial parameters out of whack just to sign that player who might not even have the attitude of wanting to come to the club? He's coming to the club for just money. He got himself into that, into like his foot in of being one of the big financial clubs, which they are, I think the fifth top revenue, but the players around the globe are still not itching to come to Tottenham.
And on that, Brad, because they haven't offered big dough, the big players in the world game haven't gone there.
That's not the point he's making.
No,
that's not the point he's making.
Are you worried that Tottenham go down?
Well, that's a different topic. Tottenham could go down right now with what's going on right there. And I watched again that you see Igor Tudor is talking to Van de Ven and he's ignoring him. This is, I said not too long ago that somebody asked me what I thought was needed to come in. And I was like, bring in somebody like a Harry Redknapp, that if Van de Ven ignores him just for 4 months or so, it could be a different name. It's like what Celtic did with Martin O'Neill. And if somebody's ignoring him, that player wouldn't be in the matchday squad the next time. And the worst thing for a player is not playing. No matter anything. And you're right. That's not the point that I was making, is that you can't just overpay players and bring them into the
Their motivations aren't right.
Correct. Yeah. You have to want to sign players that want
winners
to
and want to play for big clubs and know what winning looks like. And they want money as well, but they'll bring both.
Correct. So it's like, if you go back to NFL and New England Patriots, the saying, and I was the head coach at New England, and Tom Brady was a quarterback there, and the saying inside the building was basically, you come to New England to win the trophy, then you leave New England to go make your big paycheck, but you're going to win here first. And we had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And they had the winning formula with those two. Everyone else would come in. They would win their rings. They would go off, and the amount of players that ended up coming back to come try to win another ring because they couldn't after they got their payday.
Yeah.
So it's this mentality thing. And
I mean, they've got Cristiano Romero, Brad, the World Cup winner.
Come on. Seriously.
Go on.
Look, he's one of the petulant ones. He's one. If you took one of the managers that,
but he's one of your winners. Is he not?
With Messi, with Emi Martinez, with other players that might put him in his place. Like, if he's going to be the winner and
he's going to be your leader.
If he's going to, because
is he your kind of captain?
No, he's the kind of that I might have problems with in the change room, because the issue is you'll have young players, and you always have players at clubs that aren't leaders. Always have it. And the players that aren't leaders, they look to attach to somebody. They do. So if you take Luka Modric, he walked in, nicest human being, humble, quiet, did his work, fantastic player. Young player would go,
I'll be like him.
I want to be like him.
Yeah.
Gareth Bale, come in.
Yeah.
Gareth Bale, yes, he played golf. He was physical specimen.
Yeah.
He was off the charts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You go, if you want to be a right back, and Kyle Walker was there at the time.
Right.
He was faster than 100-meter sprinters.
Listen, we're out of time. 12 noon, Brad. Before you go, one name. Who wins the World Cup?
I'm gonna go England.
England.
I am.
God,
I'm
just
going to go
made his
England.
day.
I am going to go England.
Brad, I was looking forward to seeing you until that moment, but I'm still looking forward to seeing you in the US.
You
summer.
really wanted me to say Scotland?
No, mate. No. Brad Friedel, great seeing you again.
Nice to see you, Jim.
Thank you so much. And we, as I said, we will be looking forward to seeing Brad throughout the World Cup when we are there in the summer. It is 12 noon.
Would he? Well, I was going to say, would he be a good fit at Old Trafford? Of course he would.
See, the one thing that United have done recently that they hadn't done beforehand, they're signing players that can handle playing at Manchester United. I know I keep going on about it, but you know better than me. It's a heavy jersey and it's a big place to play.
Yeah.
Easy, listen, great place to play and an easy place to play when things are going well. Right, but that's a different, it's a different question when things aren't going well. And I look at the boys they've signed. Shesko to a lesser degree, but he's coming good.
Pleased for him.
So am I. So am I.
There's another one that's not going to make it.
Yeah, I keep going on about his finish at West Ham, Alan. It was a genius finish. It really was. It was a brilliant finish where he clipped it round the corner, stuck it in the top corner. It was a brilliant finish. His finish at Everton, great pace, calmness in front of goal, sticks it by Pickford. But the other two for me have really settled in, Cunha and Mbeumo. They've really settled in. They look the part, and they look as though they're thriving, in that, arena at Old Trafford. They look as though they look as though to me as if they feel they belong there.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And you can't say that about maybe some of the previous ones, whether it was, Jadon Sancho or Højlund or Anthony, boys like that.
Yeah. So Forest, right? You mentioned they've got Fenerbahce, then it's down to Brighton, then they've got Man City.
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, a man called Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England were dominating the international fixtures they played, and it was largely down to Corinthians. In fact, in 1894 and 1895, they played consecutive games where Corinthians provided the entire England 11. But the thing is, the players refused to play professional football. They didn't believe in it. They wanted to spread the values of sportsmanship, competition, and played for the love of the game. It also helped that most of the players were Oxbridge graduates who didn't need the money. But instead of entering the league and cup competitions, they played exhibition football and toured the world, bringing the beautiful game with them. And it was this which spread the game throughout the world and made it so popular. Most famously, in 1910, they travelled to Brazil. And the locals in Sao Paulo were so impressed, they started their own team under the same name. Yes, the same Corinthians who won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021, one of the biggest football teams in Brazil. Now, they were global superstars, and despite not being professional, Corinthians drew in the crowds. Everybody wanted to play them, everybody wanted to watch them. So much so, they regularly played the winners of the FA Cup in what eventually became the Community Shield, winning most of the time. They actually inflicted Manchester United's worst defeat, 11-3, a record which still stands to this day. Now, fast forward to today,
Corinthian casuals still don't pay their staff or players. The ethos of sportsmanship is still at the heart of everything that they do. And even though they're a side in the lower leagues, if you make the trip to King George's Field in Tolworth just off the A3, you'll most likely bump into Brazilian Corinthians fans who often make the pilgrimage across the globe just to watch their founding team play.
Good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan this Thursday lunchtime, and we are live on talkSPORT, of course, coming to you live on your TV as well. We have a very sizable YouTube audience these days, and it's growing all the time, and we're delighted about that. Even on Prime Video, you can watch this show live between 10 and 1 weekdays on talkSPORT. I want to thank everybody for all the comments coming in. Liverpool fans, Villa fans, Tottenham fans, relating to Brad Friedel, who has just been and gone, Simon, and by God, was he impressive.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with him in America because he will bring a different dimension to the conversation. It'll be good, I think. Yeah.
Very much so. That is then, this is now, and right now it has been a very busy media week for promoting Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois, a fight that is coming your way live on DAZN and on talkSPORT. The date for your diary, May the 9th, up in Manchester. Fabio Wardley up against Daniel Dubois. And of course, yesterday, Fabio Wardley passed through and gave us some great chat. This morning, Daniel Dubois was in studio alongside his trainer, Don Charles. The talking continues this lunchtime, though, and we're joined in studio by the management teams of both of the fighters. Advising Daniel Dubois is one Sam Jones. Sam, good afternoon to you, mate.
Hello, Jim. Hello,
good
Simon.
to see you.
Nice to see you, Sam.
Hello, Sam. And manager of Fabio Wardley is Michael Ofo. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Very nice to see
have
you,
Michael.
Good to see you, Michael. Sam, come on. What kind of a matchup we got in our hands here? Not with you two. I mean, come the fight in May.
He's a bit big for me. I said it yesterday at the press conference before this and before the backwards and forwards and the fun to make. It's a great fight. It's sometimes in boxing you get fans get a bit upset and they get a bit disgruntled about what pay-per-view is and this shouldn't be it. But when you've got two guys in their physical primes, no one's over the hill. One's coming off a great run, being Fabio. He's on a wonderful run of form. He's unbeaten. It's dramatic every fight. No Fabio Wardley fight's boring. And you've got Daniel Dubois, a former world heavyweight champion with a great GB pedigree behind him, coming off a loss against Alexander Usyk straight into a world title fight. It's going to be, it's chaos. Like, sometimes when you self-fight, you're thinking, oh God, I'm pushing it a bit there. These two, someone's getting knocked out in the fight, Jim. Someone's getting rendered unconscious in this fight. That's what it is.
This very show this morning, Michael, Daniel Dubois said he would do just that. He would knock your man Fabio Wardley spark out. Has it got the makings of a great British classic? What do you think?
Yes, I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I think Fabio's going to do what he normally does and rise to the occasion, and he's going to stop Daniel Dubois. And I think it may even be early. Listen, I don't believe any of their team believe half of the things that they're saying. You know, before Mr. Sammy was in Joe Joyce's corner, don't forget he was.
I was right about that.
He was talking about how much of Daniel Dubois was a bottle job, how he bottled it for the ABA final. So listen, he's either he's lying then or he's lying now. Either way, he's a liar. So, you know, we're here, we're excited. May 9th is going to be an incredible fight, and Fabio's going to rise to the top.
Do you accept commercially, though, Fabio Wardley, despite being a world champion and despite being a great talker about boxing, he spoke brilliantly in this very studio yesterday with us, he's not the A side. He's not the A side pool. I mean,
In comparison to Daniel Dubois? No, he's
not in comparison to Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, look, I think that Fabio Wardley's got work to do, and I think when he beats Daniel Dubois,
you've got work to do.
He'll become a household name, and we'll push on for the biggest fights. Look, we chose Daniel Dubois. You know, Tyson Fury wasn't available, AJ wasn't available, Usyk wasn't available, and we chose what we thought would be the biggest fights. Fabio Wardley's never ever ran away from any adversity. He's never ran away from any challenge, and we welcome it all.
Why did Usyk not want to fight Fabio?
Listen, you know, he can say it's to do with the commercials, but I think I used this example before. If you have a Champions League final, this is my opinion. If you have Real Madrid, you can't choose in a final, oh, you know what? I'm not going to face Barcelona today. I'm going to go with Wigan, or I'm going to go with Tottenham. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's not the UFC.
But as broadcasters monetizing it, you know you'd rather have Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
Yeah, what you rather.
That's the question, isn't it?
But from my perspective, it's about protecting the sport. It's about how things should be done.
I agree.
And I personally feel the best should fight the best. And that's how we should behave. And even if it doesn't happen, the attitude that we should be putting out there.
Those are the standards we should be setting.
Those are the standards that we should be setting.
The genesis of Jim's question is Usyk didn't want this fight because he didn't see the commercial value of it. And in my view, he should be fighting Fabio Wardley. Fabio Wardley has earned the right to be treated as any other world champion and as any other elite fighter. And the idea that Usyk talks about in the past, where he was given an opportunity by Anthony Joshua and writes about it and says, I would never have got the things I've got if it wasn't for Joshua putting himself at risk. Maybe Joshua thought we were going to beat a cruiserweight at that time. Yeah. But in this situation, I think that Fabio's been diminished by Usyk. But that doesn't alter the fact that I think it's a fabulous fight. This fight with Daniel Dubois.
First of all, I gave Fabio the correct props yesterday before at the press conference that sometimes it gets diluted when someone gets upgraded to champion. Fabio's a deserving champion. He's a legitimate world champion. And that's the way it's happening. As for Michael's comments about lies and stuff like that, yeah, I predicted Joe Joyce was going to beat Daniel because it was too soon for Daniel. I was right about this, and I'll be right about this fight. Daniel Dubois is going to win the fight inside the distance.
Was you right about him not having the heart?
He whatever the case is back then. Listen, but boxing's boxing. Boxing's boxing, Michael. So you have my opinion. Yesterday will be different to what it is now. The fact of the matter is, Daniel's operated at a higher level. I know he's operated at a higher level than Fabio. Everybody knows that. I did a comparison yesterday, which I'm not going to repeat on the radio. But that's just the facts. You wanted to fight Derek Chisora. I know you picked Daniel, but you did want to fight Derek Chisora. I know this for a fact. You wanted to fight Derek. Yeah, he was not. Again, so it wasn't just like you looked at Daniel and went, we're going to fight. You picked the biggest financial, commercially, the biggest fight. And that's Daniel Dubois. It's not because he wanted the most dangerous fight. Fabio's got a pair of plums huge. Everyone knows this. I tried to articulate that the best I can. Sorry for the listeners. But you've gone for the biggest bag. And that's Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is the much commercial bigger name, but we respect Fabio as the A-side in this fight because he's the champion. But what is going to happen, Daniel Dubois is going to flatten him like a Brighton deck chair. That's what's going to happen very early.
But
and it's going to be conclusive. Done that to Fabio yet?
Of course he's not, because he's not fought the opposition to do that, Jim. Okay. That's easy, isn't it?
Joseph Parker's
a great fighter, but it's different level of power, Michael. It's a different level of power. Listen, you can't compare it.
This is boxing. They all hit extremely hard at the top level. It's like when fighters at the top level talk about being disciplined and working hard. They all work hard at this top level. It's all about the little margins. And some of the little margins, for example, since Sam's been in control as the manager.
Advisor.
Oh, yeah, because he doesn't have a boxing board of control.
I think advisor's right, isn't it?
Listen. It doesn't.
10 years in the game and he doesn't have a boxing.
I'm not like you, Michael. I'm Michael.
Stop playing the man.
No, but listen, I'm not like Michael. I'm not an osteopath. I'm not a chief ring walk specialist. I'm not a corner man. You're better than me, Michael. You're a better man than me, mate.
You can try and be snarty all you want. I'm here on merit. Yes, I am an osteopath. I'm proud of it. I went to university. And I worked my butt off. I worked 7 days a week whilst I was at university.
Better than me.
I wanted to stay within this sport. When I made the decision to be in this sport, I said I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to take shortcuts. I'm not going to take 10 years and then say, oh, I haven't had the time to do it. I'm going to do it the right way. And I'm going to do the fight. The Boxing Board of Control can hold me accountable for anything that I say. I put myself in that position. I'm not a cowboy. I'm not like one of these, like an electrician without this.
Do you think Sam's a cowboy?
Yeah, he's a cowboy.
I'm a good cowboy.
He's a cowboy.
Still a cowboy. John Wayne special, man.
I'm not understanding the purpose of this conversation.
Yeah, it's
I mean, the reality of it is that we're talking about two fighters.
Listen, the fight is going to happen on May the 9th.
Yeah.
I do hold
and what is going to happen is Fabio is going to destroy Daniel Dubois. And the reason why I brought up these things, because it's when you look at these big fights, it's more than just the fighter. It's about the team and the environment that you put around the fighter. And for us, we've had consistency. When I look at their team, there's a lot of...
You've not had any adversity yet, though, Michael.
We've had a lot of adversity.
He's not
Justin
lost.
Hooney was at...
He's not lost.
Yeah, he hasn't... He's never lost.
Yeah,
He's never
had an amateur background, so how can you lose?
He's never lost in a boxing.
He's boxed electricians.
Anybody that he's faced, Fabio Wardley has beaten, and that's not his. He's done what he's supposed to do.
Nobody gives him more.
Daniel Dubois
Nobody gives Fabio more props than me. But what I'm saying is, he's not had an amateur background, Michael. So of course he's not tasted defeat. He's not been in GB tournaments. He's not boxed the best in the world. Uzbekistanis, all these big monstrous Russians. He's not. He's not. But what I'm saying, so you would say Fabio Wardley had 100 amateur fights. He'd go and defeat. Come on now, we're talking waffle.
The fact is, every time Fabio Wardley has stepped in the ring, he has found a way to ring.
Absolutely.
Every time that Daniel Dubois has stepped in the ring,
absolutely.
On 3 occasions.
Yeah,
I know you guys
boxed at a higher level,
only twice,
but he has boxed
on
at a
3
higher level.
occasions. You guys lost.
He's boxed at a higher level.
In fairness to the conversation, Michael, the argument about Daniel, and I happen to think that Fabio Wardley will win this fight. I think it's an irresistible force meets an immovable object, and I think the immovable object is Fabio Wardley. But when you're talking about the fights that Daniel's been in, you cannot draw a parallel between fighting against Justice Hooney and fighting against Fraser Clark as the fighting against Alexander Usyk. So 2 of the fights that Daniel's had and losses has had against generational greats.
Yeah.
So it does give
Joyce.
Joe Joyce,
absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I tell you what, we'll dive out, take a quick break, and return to this. I also tell you this, Sam, if you've got a bit of a bad back, Michael might be the man. You know, osteopath.
By the way, with a small bit of sarcasm, I'm being serious. He's done well. Like, you can't go to university and get degrees. I'm just saying. He's a Swiss Army knife.
More from Sam Jones and Michael Oppo after this.
Chelsea beat Barca, Liverpool roll over Madrid. But later in the tournament, that changes because the dynamic
changes,
the mentality changes of those elite clubs and elite players and ups their game. So then you see this kind of, these little details will win semi-finals and quarterfinals. When you play in those games, you realise it can be one little moment, even though you think the English team should win. You can't be that arrogant. Well, we can't be that arrogant to think we should just because we've got a strong league.
It's not a given. I mean,
it's not a given.
Lay out a claim that this is what is a reasonable opportunity for you to achieve shouldn't be conceived as English arrogance.
No.
But it's also the reasons why Newcastle are probably doing well in this tournament, because when it comes to cup competitions, albeit there's a league format in the Champions League, but it's a limited league format. So know you've got to go into these games. Teams are going in there with a champions mentality, most of them, albeit 90% of them aren't actually champions, but they're highfalutin sides from their own countries, going in there with a front foot mentality a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon referred to it earlier on in the season when he was asked about why are you doing so well in Europe. He was talking about the opposition come to win, whereas in the Premier League, certain sides come in to make it difficult for you to play against.
Yeah.
So that's the reasons perhaps why Newcastle have found some success in defending the much vaunted Carabao Cup that the whole nation celebrated last year.
Yeah,
and also the Champions League.
I think the other thing, just quickly as well, is there's been the one thing I've noticed more so this season than any other is the physicality, fitness difference. The physicality of the Premier League teams it's just gone up a notch.
Right.
I mean, okay, we can argue they're not as talented as years gone by or whatever.
Yeah.
In terms of the depth of talent, but physicality, the way Chelsea went after Barca, the way Arsenal went after Munich, the way Liverpool rolled over Madrid, it's just too physical.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Well, that's right. Don't forget, it is the heavyweight season on DAZN starting next month. Otoma against Franklin. Join DAZN Ultimate. You'll get Chisora Wilder and Wardley Dubois pay-per-views included at no extra cost. We are talking about Fabio Wardley up against Daniel Dubois, live in DAZN, live in talkSPORT on the 9th of May up in Manchester. And representing Daniel Dubois, advising Daniel Dubois is one Sam Jones, and the manager of Fabio Wardley is Michael Ofo. Both gentlemen in studio with myself and Simon this lunchtime. Michael, I'll put it to you first. Who's got more to prove and who's got more to lose in this fight? Dubois or Wardley?
Fabio's the world champion, so obviously, naturally, he's got his belt to lose. But yeah, listen, honestly, as a team, we've not even thought about losing. So that's probably the first time I've thought about what we have to lose. As for Daniel Dubois, it's not going to be the first time he's taken a loss. And now with the movement in the heavyweights, I'm sure Mr. Sam Jones will be able to bring him back and get him in some tasty fights.
Same question to you, Sam.
Yeah.
More to prove, more to lose. Who's got more than maybe they'd wish?
It's not a cop out at all when I say this, but it's both ways, isn't it? Fabio's been upgraded to champion, which I want him to get the props of being a legitimate world champion. Which I honestly think I was there when he boxed Joseph Parker. He deserves the title of world champion, but he's not quite had that and the new moment, that special moment that he deserves. So there's a lot of pressure on Fabio. Also, we're not gonna. It's the most formidable puncher he's ever been in the ring with, and we all know this. So it's that the pressure. There's pressure on both sides. Daniel's coming off a loss, can't afford another one. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's pressures on both sides. Sure. But both men will know going into the ring that it's me or you. That's one of us are getting flattened here. That's what it is.
It's a proper fight, Simon.
And when Fabio does lose, there's going to be plenty of fights for him to come back to.
Oh yeah, it feels objectively. If you look at it objectively, because of the narratives and things are seeded in narratives, like the fact that Daniel Dubois doesn't have any heart is seeded in the narrative that was brought out of the Joe Joyce fight when his corner didn't look after him, and it's carried on. People in the media are lazy, never get past it. But it feels like objectively, because of Fabio's background, if he were to lose this fight, there'd be plenty of other ability to rebuild him. If Daniel loses this fight to Fabio Wardley, not because Fabio Wardley isn't recognised as a world champion, and I think he should have. I think Usyk should have been less mean-spirited and vacated the WBO belt, and Parker and Fabio should have been fighting for the world title rather than having it upgraded.
Yeah,
I feel that the loser in this fight, if Daniel Dubois loses, which I think that does happen, I think it's more difficult for him, because how do you sell Daniel now? How do you market him in terms of what he was once perceived to be, which is the new face of heavyweight boxing? He's now lost to Joe Joyce. He's now lost to Fabio Wardley. He's been done twice by Usyk, which you can carry. Whereas Fabio, I think they can rebuild easier.
Okay.
But they won't be thinking that way, and neither should they be.
Sam, Michael, before you leave us today, I can't have you here by not mentioning it. Conor Benn surprised many, seemingly ditching Matchroom and Eddie Hearn to sign with Zufa Boxing. Dana White, Turki Al-Sheikh last week. Where'd you stand on it?
I think you should have to ask Michael the question first, Jim.
Well, let's go to Michael first.
Yeah, listen, I think it's all business. And to be honest, I don't know the finer details of their relationship. It's none of my concern, none of my business. And it's rich men's problems. So, listen,
you'll be
both of them are going to go away healthy. Both of them, are not going to lose anything business-wise. So, best to the both of them.
But you'll be reassured to hear that Fabio swore undying loyalty to the team around here the other day and would never do such a thing.
I mean, you did a bit of work with Connor, didn't you, in the past?
I speak with Connor regularly, and look, I think promoters and fighters sometimes are loyal when it suits them. Yeah, that's the reality of boxing. And boxing is a business. And if anybody tells you anything other, they're lying. They're telling you pork pies, Jim. So when an offer's presented to you, it's easy to kind of say, oh, he should do this. Oh, he should do this. If 16 million is getting put in front of you, let's see how you behave and operate. I'm sure on both sides, things could have been dealt with better. But the reality is Connor's secured his family's future for forever.
Does integrity exist?
Integrity does, absolutely integrity exists, and it should exist, and that's why I say I think on both sides, but I think there's been a lot of things said that aren't true about the situation, but all I will say is like, just take into consideration that it's a one fight deal, and there's a ridiculous amount of money there, and I know Simon's there ready to
I'm laughing because of one fight deal, because the UFC fighters are jumping up screaming at Shapiro now, aren't they?
And why not?
Screaming at him, going, "What are you doing?"
And why not?
I mean, if Fabio beats Dubois,
when?
Sure. How will you react, Michael, if Zufa come in?
You put him in a wheelbarrow and take him to Vegas.
Listen, like we said, this is a business. We've got a great relationship with QP, and long may that continue. Listen, like you said, this is a business. We're here to do the best by Fabio Wardley. If you look at our track record, we've always done the best by our fighters.
Would you put Daniel Dubois in a wheelbarrow and push him to Vegas if Dana White comes in?
No, for the simple reason is Daniel is tied to Queensbury for a very long time. It depends. I don't know. I'm talking hypothetically. If you're a free agent and you get that, then it's a completely different conversation. But that's why contracts exist, and that's why Frank Warren's very good at contracts.
Right. So if Daniel knocks Fabio Spark out and Zufa come in, he ain't going anywhere.
Absolutely not, because he's contracted to Queensbury, and he will be, when he beats Fabio Wardley, well, who knows? There could be a rematch on the cards, depending how conclusive the fight is.
Okay.
But it depends what's able. But the home of heavyweight boxing is at Queensbury. We've got all the fights. They've got the heavyweight champ Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois, Jurgovic, big Zile Zhang, Moses Itama's coming through the ranks very fast. The home heavyweight boxing is at Queensbury at the moment.
Simon, you decide for me. Sam or Michael, who should have the final word on Wardley Dubois?
I think Michael, to be honest.
All right. Well, if Michael's getting the final word,
I think Michael. The floor's yours, Michael.
Well, if he's going to get the final word, you have the penultimate word. What we're going to see, Sam, on the night.
I'll be honest. All respect to Fabio. Honestly, I do admire him as a person. I think he knows that as well. But I am on the side of Daniel Dubois. And even if I was not involved in this fight, I would favour Daniel Dubois due to pedigree, punch power, and I just think he's an all-round better fighter. But props to Fabio Wardley. Not many people would take this as a voluntary defence, by the way. A voluntary defence. This is not a...
He says a lot for wanting to give me the last word, isn't it? Proper car salesman.
Daniel Dubois, I was a flipping brilliant...
Bell, Fabio's going to stick it on Daniel Dubois. When that bell goes, we all take 3 steps back, and Fabio's going to take 3 steps forward. And I believe when Fabio meets Daniel Dubois in the center of that ring and they decide to trade, Daniel Dubois is going to crumble mentally. No one's going to be able to help him. No, Stan's not going to be able to help him. Sam's not going to be able to help him. Don Charles is not going to be able to help him. No horoscopes are going to be able to help him when Fabio decides to punish him.
You'll be there with advice, though, Mr. Advisor, won't you?
Oh no, definitely not. I'll leave that to Don Charles. But yeah, that was good words. That made sense. Put hairs on the back of my neck. Stand up. Go on, Michael.
Go on, Michael. Thank you so much, Michael Ofo, of course, manager of Fabio Wardley and advising Daniel Dubois. One Sam Jones. Thanks, guys. 12:30.
On a normal game, we're not selling out Preston North End on a Tuesday night at home. Yeah. And, you know, with Snoop there, you know, we've sold it out. It was, you know, a brilliant occasion. And for the fans as well, it was great for the fans to see it. And he got involved with everyone. He walked around the pitch. He was high-fiving everyone, taking photos with the fans. So, you know, everyone really enjoyed themselves.
Did he turn up a big limo, or was he low key, or
Uber?
No,
that was an Uber.
Just in like you know, the transit vans with the minibus ones. He was in one of them. He got out with his ghetto blaster playing his music and coming to the ground. So yeah, he did make a good entrance.
Now I'm a bit concerned about this herbal cigarette in the tunnel, according to the Preston manager.
I think that's the smell of a last-minute equaliser, that I think. That's what that'll be. And then my other thing was, how does he know what it smells like in the first place?
Lee, I'm going to say, suspicions were aroused when the goal scorer jumped 411 feet in the air to score a header, by the way. In all seriousness, mate, it's a brilliant story, and I think the more the merrier. I think the whole thing takes off, it'll be magic. Tell us a little bit about the party as well, because that's a great story. I think I'm led to believe he turned the canteen into a kind of nightclub set up, and there was 400 guests, and it must have been some crack.
Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni says Vinicius Jr.'s winning goal was one in the eye for racists. Here's Kev Hatchard.
He's going to keep dancing, he's going to keep celebrating goals, and he's going to keep scoring. So, you know, regardless of how this investigation plays out, and at the moment it is still an investigation that hasn't had an ending, you know, I think he has come out with the way that he's handled himself, and Vinicius Jr., I think he's come out with a lot of credit.
Vinicius' winner knocked Jose Mourinho's Benfica out of the Champions League. Scott Minto made the Brazilian man of the match. Now, Real Madrid could face Man City or Sporting next. Chelsea could get PSG. For Liverpool or Spurs, they'll face Galatasaray. Arsenal could get Atalanta, who overturned a 2-goal deficit against Dortmund. The draw takes place tomorrow. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's promising no let-up from his tabletop in Coventry. That's after they came back to beat Sheffield United. Jack Redoni got the winner, taking Cov 5 points clear. And in a World Cup year, Ivan Toney's told us he'll keep plugging away in Saudi, but Thomas Tuchel hasn't called him yet.
I don't expect it to be, you know, because he's got so many other players that he has to be watching also, and I'm sure he'll probably be keeping one eye on me and see what I'm doing. But like I said, I just have to be focused on myself, keep my head down and keep scoring goals.
You can hear more from Darren Bent's interview with Ivan Toney on talkSPORT Drive from 4 p.m.
see, the boxing hour on a Thursday isn't the boxing hour on a Thursday if Spencer Oliver isn't part of it. And Spencer joins us live in studio. Mr. Oliver, nursing a bit of a head cold.
Yeah, nothing major, Jim. Nothing to keep me away from this brilliant show. So it was good to be in. I enjoyed that, by the way, with the boys there, Michael
Lively.
and Sam. Very lively, yeah.
Yeah. Spencer, good to see you. We're joined by promoter Ben Shalom, who has stopped by as well. Ben, you're becoming a regular at this time of year, not mate?
It was a crazy week this week. So it's good to be here. It's good to be here.
Why was it crazy?
Well, it's just absolutely mental.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
Yeah. I mean, it's been coming for a long time, but to see it start to explode, and this is just the start, is interesting.
Well, Simon's smiling, of course, because he knows what we're all talking about, and I'm quite sure the listeners do too. It's reported that Frank Warren of Queensberry is engaged in a legal battle with the companies Sella and TKO, headed up by Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White, who are fronting Zufa Boxing. Mr. Warren's company Queensberry is claiming Sella and TKO breached contracts they had signed with him and went behind his back to form a venture that aims to dominate the fight game. The Telegraph newspaper understands Queensberry will seek up to $1 billion compensation for income the company claims it would have made had the contract been honoured. It's chaos, is it not, Ben, behind the scenes? Is that not more accurate? What's going on?
I'm going to have to use, in my honest opinion, every 3 seconds, I think, because everyone's throwing around lawsuits everywhere. To be honest, Turki Al-Sheikh, when he came in, has done so much for the promoters. I'm very grateful for what he's done for me. But he's probably done 10, 15 times more for other promoters in terms of the amount of events, the profitability, the backing, the big fights, the this, the that. And so I'm not going to get involved in that. I just think ultimately he's given so much. My opinion is he can do what he wants. He can do his own thing. And to be honest, he's done more than could ever be expected from any individual. I mean, it almost felt like at times it was like something from outer space.
But he did it for his own motivations, not for your motivations. Then maybe people.
I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about
you would like a contract, wouldn't you? And if someone breached your contract, the first thing you'd want to do is sue them, right?
I'm not getting involved into in that sort of stuff. I'm just saying, just take a step back.
You're sucking up to the sound.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm saying take a step back. How can you say that after what we've seen from the other two promoters for years and years? You've not seen me holding hands and walking here. What I'm saying is Turki Al-Sheikh has done a lot for all of them, right? I know you can go on about contracts, and we'll get to that, and that is, but he's done a huge amount. And you only have to look at profitability before he came in to during he came in, and probably what will come after he came in. And he's gone further and further and further.
The same Turki Al-Sheikh owns Ring Magazine, who last night posted on Twitter, rumours are circulating in the boxing world that Queensberry is in financial trouble with a continued business relationship with Sella and TKO. The loss of those relationships has influenced Queensberry's threat to sue Sella and TKO. This is getting dirty behind the scenes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
This is serious stuff now.
Absolutely, it's the Wild West. That's what boxing is. There's always dramas. There's always things going on. I think the motivation originally, the motive for Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh's season was, when working with Queensberry and Eddie Hearn, was to learn the trade, learn the game, see how it all worked. And
it was expensive. It was to put on the biggest events we've seen in the past 25 years.
Listen, and I'm not knocking that.
Two undisputed.
Hold on.
He's put on everything.
Hold on, absolutely.
Would have never been made.
Took the politics out of the sport and got fights that were made. Not saying that, but what I'm saying is, I think the long-term game was always to go out there and do it on their own, and hence why Dana White and TKO have now come into the fold with Turki Al-Sheikh, and he's decided to do things now on his own.
I'm surprised
and maybe not working with these promoters moving forward.
I'm surprised they didn't sooner.
And of course, with the new epiphanies found by Ben, it was all done out of the goodness of his heart.
It's not about goodness of the heart. It's not about that. He went on. He did it for longer than anyone could ever anticipate.
And some might say, just to play devil's advocate, that he skewed the market, drove up the price of fights. People will say that the fighters were rewarded hugely, and that was the benefit of it. But ultimately, it also has its knock-on effect that ultimately now a lot of fighters think they should get paid a certain amount of money, and so fights don't happen anymore. If I'm Frank Warren, with due respect to this, I am shoving a 14-day pre-action protocol for defamation straight down their throats, because you cannot say what they've just said in that Ring magazine piece, because it's their magazine. It's them using the Ring magazine for credibility to be able to justify what they're doing. You can, if it was said about Ben, if it was said about Eddie, you cannot have that said, because they don't. They have no right to question the validity of someone's finances, and they should get sued for that. Now, as far as the contract is concerned, if Frank Warren's got a contract, whether Turki Al-Sheikh has done a lot of good things for boxing, with the end game being what they wanted from it. They wanted to own boxing, so what they did was they threw a whole load of cash around. They couldn't do it in football. They couldn't do it in golf because they were blocked by the establishment. So what they did was they bought the space in boxing, and all you lot ran to it, and that's what on their teats.
They wanted to make,
and you would have done the same.
They wanted to make
if you could
the
have
biggest fights possible, and they did make the biggest fights
I think they
possible.
achieved that. They took the politics away from the sport, and as boxing fans, I think we were all spoiled over the last 3 or 4 years, but I think the motive was always to go out there, do it on their own, starting up the Zufa belt and starting up their own organisation and sort of copying the model of the UFC, which Dana White started up with 1 champion, 8 weight divisions under one umbrella and everything else. All sounds fantastic, but the fantasy against reality, that's going to be very difficult to
they
do.
also say in this post last night, Ben, the Ring magazine post, there has been intensified concern among the stable within Queensberry when it was learned that they were not being used as a promotional entity for Tyson Fury's big UK comeback in April. And this concern has led to a scenario where a number of their fighters are seeking other promoters. Is that what you've been hearing?
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to get involved in between Frank and TKO, because that's not a place anyone wants to be. I think all I'm saying is from being in the centre of it, seeing what Turki Al-Sheikh and Saudi have done for the sport, and they continue to do, because it's not just Zufa that we're seeing, and it's not just we're still seeing the big events. We're still seeing Shakur Stevenson. We're still seeing the big events in the States. I'm saying he's done more than anyone could expect, and if he wants to do his own thing in whatever way he wants to do it, is his prerogative.
Maybe, but as a promoter, do you trust him?
Have a lot of fighters.
Do you trust Turki
have a lot of fighters.
No one would dispute
Yeah,
that.
but have a lot of fighters signed for various promoters because they know that he's got the backing of them 100%.
I think it's healthy.
So of course that's going to have an effect.
Do you
if he
trust
goes
him
in a different...
as a promoter? Do you trust Turki Al-Sheikh?
I trust Turki Al-Sheikh more than any other promoter in this sport, hands down.
But I think it's healthy that he's come into that space because it helps grow the sport, whether you like it or you don't like it. But Queensberry are always going to continue to do what they do. I think that Matchroom are always going to continue to do what they do. They're great global promoters as well, like yourself with Boxer. You know, that's going to happen whether you work with them, don't work with them. So I think it's healthy for the sport. I think it's going to grow the sport and add, another dimension to it.
No one would dispute in their right mind the validity of someone that's injected a load of money into the sport primarily for their own motivations, irrespective of the Hail Marys that you want to give them. But no one would suggest that they aren't able to do what they want to do. But in the same way that if you had a contract with somebody, whether that was with a broadcaster or with a promoter, and they did breach that contract, you'd want to have something to say about it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Irrespective of how much money they give you to start your business or how much money they gave you to promote fights, you'd have something to say about a contract being breached.
Well, but Simon, just quickly, how much do you think it's going to change the game moving forward in the future? Do you think that they're going to make this huge impact? Do you think it will be a big change?
They've made it already.
Yeah, well, this is
But
just the beginning.
I'm the one that said 2 years ago.
But primarily, I think what the ultimate goal here is to get rid of all the governing bodies, get this Super belt and get it all under... Is that achievable?
But the wonderful thing is, when you replace the establishment, you become the establishment. So be careful what you wish for when you think people are a revolution.
Yeah.
I'm the one that sat here 2 years ago and said, with all due respect to Frank and to Eddie, this end game, and Eddie Wilhelm was the one that sat in the studio and said, they can't do what we can do. We've got years and years of event programming and event experience. And I said, well, they can buy that. So it's no surprise to me they've taken Conor Benn and done that. And it's no surprise to me that they'll probably jettison the relationship that they were having with Queensberry, which was always seeded in the idea that Queensberry opened the door for the Saudis to come walking through, and were going to be a big part of it. So,
only last night on Twitter, Alexander Usyk posted that not rushing, but getting ready for something big. Is he next? Loyalty in boxing. We'll discuss that next.
Fan, right, Ed?
Right, Ed?
Right, boys.
Yeah, Ed, look, we're just like comparing him to other players that, players that Anthony Gordon could get in what team this is. And I said he's better than Gakpo. Do you agree?
100%. I'd go more than 25% though. Gakpo and Salah this season have both been passengers in the Liverpool team. Like, everyone's wondering why Liverpool are being so poor. It's because we're playing with 9 men every game. Anthony Gordon's miles better than Gakpo. He's like a Diaz. He's not as good as Diaz, I'm not saying that. But with the pace and the little trick and the ability to actually finish, we should have bought him. Instead of Isak in the summer, we got Ekitike. All right, no one thought Ekitike was going to hit the ground running the way he did. But we should have, instead of buying Isak, we should have went for Gordon, and he'd have been like a replacement for Diaz.
I think Liverpool so fixated on buying Isak that, and the Gakpo, the Ekitike deal got done, and I think they were so far down the line with Isak.
They carried on with it.
I think
really they should.
Yeah, and
to be fair, with Isak, where we were so far down the line, we offered them money. He said no. Isak spat his dummy out. We should have just held firm and said, listen, if you want to sell him, it's the original offer, or keep him and play him in the reserves, and then just when we'll take Anthony Gordon off your hands.
Yeah.
Next season, before.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT this lunchtime, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. We are, of course, talking boxing, being the boxing hour between 12 and 1 weekdays on Thursday lunchtimes here at talkSPORT. But we're talking about events outside the ring, really, more than inside the rings. From Jai Opataya to Conor Benn, should we expect more big games to be heading to big names to be heading to Zufa Boxing, which, of course, is fronted up by Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White. Spencer, alongside Ben Shalom in studio with Simon and myself this lunchtime, integrity and loyalty. Should we still expect that from a fighter?
I don't think this sort of ever existed, if I'm totally honest. Like, when you're talking about loyalty, if a fighter does get an opportunity, and I know I've talked about this with Conor Benn, but that was slightly different circumstances going back deeper into that situation. But no, look, the fighter's always, he's the one putting his neck on the line. And if he's got no contract at a time of another conversation going on, of course he's going to go where the money is, because it's a very short-lived business. And I think that, loyalty is something that's sort of non-existent in boxing to many, I mean, you do get it, but not very much.
Well, I want to get Ben's reaction to this, because certainly it surprised Eddie Hearn, did it not, when Conor Benn pitched up and said goodbye to him and that he was joining Zufa. This was Eddie Hearn's reaction to that shock news.
I'm not going to hang him out to dry, and he will say, well, it was a big offer, but, when I received the email from his lawyer, I texted him and said, I think we should have a call. I think for everything I've done for you, I think I deserve a call. And he said no. And I was like, man, I can't believe it. I don't know what to say other than felt that everything that we gave him, the loyalty that we gave him, the support we gave him, would be enough to talk it through, or just, get close to a number, but it wasn't really the interest. So very, very surprising, very, very painful, but just another moment in life that you live and learn from. I don't really know what to say.
Well, that was Eddie Hearn speaking to IFL TV. Ben Shalom, promoter to promoter, do you sympathise with Eddie Hearn there in his predicament?
As a promoter, yes. I think sometimes promoters are always made out like the bad ones and this or that, but you have fighters, and especially ones that you start with, and they're leaning on you. And they're telling you that they want to get to the top, and can you just do this, and can you just do that, and can you just prioritise, and this and that. Ultimately, you back the ones that you think are going to get there and make the most money. So I can sympathise, and usually it's the people around these guys, the ones that need a change, that get power by moving. You know, sometimes the managers or people that come around, that definitely is. But to be honest, the way they reacted, I thought it was a parody. I thought it was a complete joke. I mean, they have been doing this to fighters and taking fighters, various fighters, Matchroom, for a long time, that have been built by other promoters, and putting it down to money, and putting it down to short careers, and putting it down to no loyalty in boxing, and glorifying it and taking the mickey with it and this and that. So I genuinely could not believe the reaction to Conor going to the highest bidder.
Is this a bit of karma then?
I mean, I just couldn't believe the reaction. When Whittaker left, right, they tried to talk down the job that I did. I did an unbelievable job through injuries, through controversies, to things that behind the scenes that I had to deal with, looking after him on a personal level. No text, no call was in. I believe, in my honest opinion, that contract got interfered with, and it was like, don't tell Shalom, because we're gonna. And then it was, show me the money. Show me the money. And that's all it was. And it became, let's make a big deal out of this, that forget what Ben's done for him. This is how it works.
What do you mean, Ben, when you say the contract get interfered with?
No, but let me make the point.
That's quite an allegation, isn't it?
I said in my honest opinion.
Yeah, but what do you mean by it?
That will take its due course. What I'm saying is...
But Matchroom
what I'm saying is...
defend themselves.
Jim, what I'm saying is, you can't operate like that with a fighter and tell everyone in the world that there is no loyalty, and it was classless. Let's be honest, it was completely classless, the way they went about that, and the way they tried to bury me with that.
So on Ben Whittaker, did
I come out and say no, my relationship with the fighter, and he knows that, and so it will always be between me and him what he did, right? Always. And same with Eddie and Conor. Only those two know the relationship and how they behaved and who were the people around them and whether they can live with that. But the way they went about it, and for it to happen in exactly the same way, where someone's come in and paid them an obscene amount of money and got one over them, to act like that. I've got a business where I put my own money in, I had to start, and it did affect me. It doesn't affect Eddie Hearn's life, the way that he's rolling around and the way that they're all coming out crying about what Conor's done. Yes, do I agree with it? But it's absolutely one of the most hypocritical things I've ever seen. It's not just Ben Whittaker. I've seen it done to other promoters. I've seen it done where they laugh about it and they say, you know what? They built their business and their whole brand on, we only care about profits. We only care about money. And then they start seeing you coming out or whatever saying, oh, but his two best friends in the stable were Anthony Joshua and Conor Ben. Why were his two best friends the ones that make him the most money? Isn't that one of the most ridiculous coincidences?
Who said that, by the way?
In the whole of boxing.
When did I say that?
Whether it was you or one of the other, or Tony Belly or whatever it was, right? I'm saying I've seen it a lot. These were the two that he was most close with. Honestly, I'm sat here thinking, are you taking the... You know? And the whole thing was hilarious.
What has happened to Eddie Hearn and
Matchroom
regards Conor Ben? What's happened to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom regards Conor Ben going to Zufa? What's happened to them? He's been doing to others for a considerable period of time. So this is a bit of karma.
And laughing about it and enjoying it. There's no loyalty. Show me the money. And then it gets done to them, and they're all crying and talking about loyalty.
But Ben,
loyalty. Frank Smith, and I hate saying his name because he's Eddie's runner, chose Conor Ben over his own brother-in-law, and then wants to talk about loyalty. Like, honestly, I don't even. When I'm seeing it, I'm almost like in shock. And then I'm seeing the pundits and the guys working in and around Matchroom suddenly outraged, suddenly this can't happen.
But do you?
It's been happening
Ben,
on their watch for years. Suddenly,
Ben.
Suddenly that can't happen. I was absolutely. I found it bemusing, and I'm still waiting for someone to come and tell me it was a parody. This was all a joke.
Part of you, I can see it. You find it amusing that Ben's gone to Zufa and has left Hearn in matchroom.
I find it bemusing, the reaction. I find it bemusing. Amusing and bemusing. I find it absolutely wild,
but
the reaction.
Do you not see, though, that under the circumstances that were surrounding this, what I'm saying was the support that they gave Conor Benn. This is the reason for the conversations that we were all having. You go, there was a support there that they gave Conor Benn when most promoters, probably including yourself, would have walked away from Conor Benn after failing not one test, but 2 tests, right? And they stuck with him. They took the bullets for the best part of 2 years. A lot of it coming from here, from talkSPORT. They at least give him the courtesy to have the conversation.
No, I agree, Spencer. By the way, Jim,
are you sympathising with Hearn?
I'm not sympathising with anyone. I'm saying a courtesy call would have been quite nice. I'm all for the fighter, but these circumstances were different to any other.
I agree with, just lastly, I agree with Spencer on that. He should have done it.
Yeah, he should have done.
But all I'm saying is, it's like bullies in the playground. You know, when you have these guys and they're in one corner of the playground and they're just having it off against everyone, yeah. But the first opportunity one of them gets to do the other one over, they're going to take it, and that's all it is. That's all it is. So
you're loving this, Simon.
That's what it is.
You are loving it.
I've never seen Simon Jordan laugh so much on his show in all my life.
But at the end of the day, it's not. It is. Unfortunately, our business is the highest bidder, and any promoter that tries to say that it's not, unfortunately, it is.
Loyalty and boxing. Ben Shalom with us this lunchtime. So too Spencer Oliver. Spencer, always good to see you. Right. Mr. Jordan, where do we go from here? It is 1 o'clock this Thursday lunchtime. Thanks for all the messages and the texts and the tweets and for everybody getting involved in the show today. And thanks too to Brad Friedel and to David Dean, who are absolutely superb with us on the show earlier on. Daniel Dubois as well. 1 o'clock Thursday lunchtime.